can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me. And I can't hold it much longer. Gonna let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
It's going to be a wild day, I promise you that. FC Live, Scott Braun, AJ Pierzynski, Erik Kratz, and Adam Jones. We'll have news, I think, during the show of waiver pickups, but also news right at the top. Actually, so I don't forget, Tom Verducci is going to join us in less than 15 minutes. Brandon Belt, who is great. I'm looking forward to his antics. He will join us soon from the Toronto Blue Jays. And Lane Thomas, who's been a great player on the Nationals this year. There is news right off the top. Adam Jones is signing with the Baltimore Orioles on a one-day contract. Adam, is this true? Is he going to land in a ballpark now on this Where in the World is Adam?
This is pretty cool news.
You gave me a look like you didn't know it, but you know it.
It was in the works. I didn't know the extent of it. This was a very subtle announcement. But I couldn't go out as a Buffalo. I just think that when paperwork is filed, I need to be an Oriole. It's a formality. They asked me if I wanted to take batting practice.
Yeah.
Hell no.
No.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Anything to do
Hell
with
yeah,
that.
dude. I'd be in full uni.
Swing
I
that
thought about that and try and tackle this left field wall because I definitely would not have had as many home runs if that was built here. But it's just to be appreciated and go out as an Oriole instead of going out as a Buffalo. And again, it's a formality, but I think it's something really cool for my kids to see and just to again be celebrated.
No, that's cool. I didn't realize how it goes down. It's cool to get a little behind the scenes. So they come to you like, hey, dude, do you want to do something like this? This isn't like something that you woke up one day and said, you know what, I got to sign a one-dayer with the Orioles.
It's kind of mutual, but I think it was more of like me pushing it. I was like, hey, we've spoken with each other recently. Like, let me go out this way. Obviously, I'm done playing, done. But I think just for a formality and to just, I guess, get a proper send-off. My exit in 2018 wasn't as grand. There's many people know. But this could be a good way, I think, for both of us to just go out in a good way. And they're having a hell of a year. It's gonna be a packed crowd September 15th, and it just can be just a real cool event. Some people aren't happy because it falls on Rosh Hashanah. I didn't create this, but some people aren't happy about that.
Okay. That's fair. You've heard it from some fans that wanted to show up that said they can't. That's fair.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, I'm like, I didn't think of that before. I didn't know it was Rosh Hashanah. No offense, but
as someone that knows you, I'm going to say this because you're my friend. You are not the plus calendar man.
Right.
You're not an 80 grade calendar keeper. Is that fair?
That's very true.
And also, Kratz, I just don't want Jonesy to distract the Orioles right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they already have an ownership to do that. An ownership already does that. Jonesy's not distracting anybody.
I'm kidding.
And you can't just say, just because you say you're my friend, you can't just say whatever you want, okay? So that's like saying with all due respect, you can't just say whatever. That could have hurt Jonesy's feelings.
AJ does that to me every 5 minutes. I have a counter. I'm like, has AJ made fun of me in 5 minutes? What's going on? Sometimes I just make sure that he's not just.
But he's not your friend.
Great point, Kratz. Thank you. Great point.
Debatable.
Great point.
AJ's a softie. He's a hugger. He's just warm and full of energy. So
I'm full of energy, but it might not be warm energy.
Well, good. I'm glad you have some energy for this because we're going to charge the damn mound. And we're going to get to now the official news, even though AJ Pierzynski already broke the news. What was it, 2 days ago?
A couple days ago on this show.
Yeah. So if you watch this show, you've known this for a while. Rumors had been spreading for a while, but it is official that Chris Getz is the new VP and GM of the Chicago White Sox. Now, we're not showing one of the tweets of it being official from everyone because we know that. I'm going to show you this tweet from our buddy Jim Bowden, who's been on here before, who said he's the perfect hire, strong leadership skills, elite evaluator, strong communication skills, and the right person to turn around the culture in their organization. His familiarity top to bottom enhances his ability for a relatively quick turnaround too. So there are some tweets out there, and he's not the only one, talking about Chris Getz and his character and his ability. I don't know him personally. And I think the public perception, which we continue to talk about, AJ, is you went internal. It doesn't seem like they did any homework. And you, from public optics, they're going to have to prove that you're hiring somebody who's been in the organization for a long time in a somewhat prominent role, and the organization's not in a good spot. It's just a tough sell until something turns around.
Can we share that tweet again before I start?
Sure.
Please, from Jim. Perfect hire. Okay, great. I know Chris Getz. I wish him nothing but the
You played
best.
with him, right?
Played with Chris Getz. I know him. I see him when I go to Chicago. Listen, no problem with Chris Getz. It's not a personal thing. Strong leadership skills. Okay, we'll go with that. Strong talent evaluator. 7 years. Don't have one player that you can come up with that they've developed from the minor leagues other than guys that were top 10 draft picks or traded for from another organization.
Robert, Moncada, but those are like
Moncada was traded.
signings.
Robert. Okay, Robert. But he was older. He was a Cuban guy.
Yeah.
He didn't start in rookie ball, drafted out of high school, and work his way up.
Are they not drafted and developed dudes?
Give Andrew Vaughn, 3rd overall pick. He's supposed to be really good. Gavin Sheets was a first rounder, I believe. He doesn't even play.
Crochet
was in the minor leagues for a week.
Yeah.
And he's hurt. He ain't done anything.
Cease was a trade.
Cease trade, Kopech trade, Moncada trade, Jimenez trade, Elvis Andrews. Tim Anderson, but he was before Getz, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who? Grandal? No. I'm talking impact player. I can't find one. It's these aren't personal attacks. These are facts, right? And I wish they were better news because I'm a White Sox fan. I want them to be better. Okay, now there's also a bunch of things that people have to understand about things that have happened in this organization. And if you don't know them, I hate to bring this up, but like the Omar Vizquel situation, if you don't know about that and the Wes Helms thing that happened, like that's bad. And he was in charge of these things and knew these things were going on, and nothing happened, right? For a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It took a public outcry for things to happen. And I played with Omar Vizquel, and I know Wes Helms. And this isn't, but these are things that have been out there, right? But nobody's talking about them. So for me, the problem I have with this hire as a White Sox fan, they didn't talk to anybody else. Jerry knew when he fired Rick and Kenny, he was already going here. So this is on Jerry Reinsdorf. And I like Jerry. I know Jerry very well. But this is, to me, and I hope Chris Getz proves me wrong, you got to go out and ask for other people, man. People are like Mike Rizzo. Mike Rizzo wasn't coming. Mike Rizzo was using this to get more power at the Nationals, right? But there are a lot of people. And the other thing about Chris Getz, and Kratz knows him well, Kratz played with him too, knows him. Here's the thing. He wasn't like wanted by all these other organizations. It's not like, man, we need Chris Getz as our GM and VP because all these other organizations. I mean, it's not like he's Heim Bloom or what's the guy in LA, Friedman,
Yep.
And like all these other guys that all these other organizations, Stearns in Milwaukee, where they're like, man, we really need this guy. I hadn't heard one time where other organizations were like, man, we want Chris Getz as the leader of our organization. So to me, this is the typical White Sox, Jerry Reinsdorf, comfortable hire. And I know Chris Getz. He's nice to me when he's up in my suite every game. So we can just move him next in line. And then the next argument's going to be, Chris wasn't allowed to because Rick and Kenny. Well, then why didn't you leave and go somewhere else? Why didn't you? You could still make moves.
Mm-hmm.
You could still do things. You can go to Jerry and say, Jerry, this isn't working. Let me have a little more freedom. And Jerry will talk to Rick and Kenny. Because there was a big thing, I don't know, with Kenny Jr. where allegedly Kenny Williams Jr. was working for him and there was some friction there. And I know Getz went to Jerry and said, hey, we need to clean this up. And they cleaned it up. So, like, there's ways around it. So don't give me that your hands were tied. Because your hands weren't tied. There was no players coming. So you said blame scouting. But every team has the same scouts, and they develop players from somewhere. International guys? They don't have any international guys they've signed. When's the last, Latino guy they've signed, Latin guy they've signed out of nowhere that's Framber Valdez signed for $5,000. Throwing no hitters for the Astros. Like that, those guys don't exist for the White Sox.
Well, Robert Abreu, those kind of guys, but you're saying they're professional guys. You're
Abreu
saying,
didn't play in the minor leagues. Robert was in the minor leagues for like 0 time.
yeah, you're
I mean,
saying
they're already
minor league guys that they
I'm talking
develop at
guys you
16.
sign
Yeah.
and you develop from a rookie ball, A-ball type. And I'm not, again, the stars are going to be the stars when you draft in the top 10. But I'm talking about like a 10th round pick that you're like, man, we made this dude into a stud. We developed him. There isn't that guy in the organization. And that's the thing for me as a White Sox fan. I need to see that.
Why did they interview anyone else?
Jerry makes the decision. He's the one with the power.
Even if you want him, can I bring this
Maybe
up
they
too?
did interview somebody else.
I hope that they come out and say that, because this is a big thing that I know for a fact in some very smart organizations. Kratz, when they move on from a manager or a front office member, some organizations will bring in a ton of people. They will interview them. They will bring in smart people from other orgs, and they will get intel. At the very least, they might have a pretty strong inclination on who they're hiring. They will get great intel on what's going on around the league, right? Because you're preparing for your job. You're worried about yourself as an individual. So that's my thing. Could have found out a lot. I mean, I don't know who's finding out a lot because it's Jerry, and who else is doing those interviews right now? Like, who is even conducting an interview besides Jerry? So it's one person. So right. So I don't think he's gaining a ton of knowledge. It's not like it's him and a team president or something.
There is no team president.
Yeah.
There's no anybody. It's Jerry.
Oh, boy.
There's Jerry and Jerry. Just like when they hired Tony La Russa, there was Jerry and Jerry, right? When Jerry makes a decision, it happens. Fine. But we already went through the whole thing. I went through it with La Russa and Dayton Moore when Dayton Moore was rumored. And who knows, Dayton Moore probably will still come in. I don't know that. But I knew, as I said, I knew Getz was, I'd heard through many people that Getz was already done.
Yep.
Right? But, Tony La Russa is the one guy that Jerry Reinsdorf listens to more than anybody. And if you have the kiss of approval from basically Tony La Russa and Jim Thome, which I think Getz has both clearly,
You're
is
good.
the new GM.
You're good to go.
When I talked to Getsy about the job when he took the job first or second year, it was one of those conversations we were talking about it. I'm like, dude, it's so crazy. You're a player development guy because you were a huge dork player, like just joking around. And he goes, there is a lot to clean up. And so this was at the beginning. Now, what happened in the last 7 years? I don't know. Jim Bowden never said he might be a strong talent evaluator. They just might not have had any talent. Like at some point, like the biggest, to me, besides Jerry, I'm just looking at an outsider's point of view. The biggest problem for the White Sox is they don't ever fire anybody. So I'm assuming it's the same thing in the minor leagues. So if you're just always keeping your job, then what's ever going to change? And to me, unless Getsy gets the opportunity to fire people and keep people accountable, just like Ozzie said when he was talking to you on the Legends territory, I don't see how anything's going to change. And the whole like, oh, you didn't hear anybody's name, anything about like Chris Getz's name around the league, all that stuff, in my opinion, it's self-promotion. You hear about somebody's name, and we're going to have Tom Verducci on. I'm sure he's self-promoted certain guys as GMs, like, so they can get another contract or whatever it is, getting their, because writers will promote these guys based on what these guys are saying. Hey, promote me, or yeah, you can promote me. But so I don't know. I mean, I know Getsy as a person, and you alluded to that too, AJ. I hope as a person, he does an awesome job because he really is a great dude. And whether he's going to be a good GM or not, ultimately, we don't know.
Mr. Jones.
I mean, these guys are very passionate, especially AJ, about the organization. I mean,
I think he knows the org pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, you know the organization well.
It's like you, Adam, when you talk about the Orioles. Like you,
yeah.
I want Chris Getz to be awesome. I want him to be an incredible general manager. I played with Chris Getz. I've known Chris Getz for 15 years, right? I want him to do well.
You watch every damn White Sox game.
Still every damn White Sox game. I don't know why. I mean, dude, why don't they go and hire Michael Elias? Fuck you and your Orioles, Jones, and let's go get him.
That is a great point. Is a friend, I texted a friend of mine who's a White Sox fan, and he was like, "Hey, why didn't we go outside the box? We've been inside of this box for so long, and like you said, go out and just change it up, get somebody brand new." Rizzo is not leaving. We all know that. But there's other GMs out there and people who want to be GMs and candidates. But you said they stayed within house. I don't know the White Sox in particular that way, but it seems like with the last 3 years, with the La Russa hire, the not getting along with the players, and then it goes to the expectations. They obviously have not met those expectations, and then the trades, and it's a shit show over there. And hopefully, I like Getz too. I played against him. I hope he does a fantastic job, but again, he has an uphill battle.
We're just saying it like it is. And
Yeah.
that's important here. So we'll continue this. We'll ask Tom Verducci about this when he swings back, and a lot to get to with Tom, including the waiver wire extravaganza today, Shohei Ohtani situation, biggest flop in his mind in terms of, Padres, Mets, Yanks, Cardinals, surprise teams. A lot to cover with Tom Verducci coming up. And for our poll question, scan the QR code on your screen, or I already voted at watchstadium.com/foul territory. Who has the best chance to upset the Braves in the playoffs in the NL? Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers, or other? Be right back with SI's Tom Verducci. Okay, we have AJ and Hawk in the booth together.
Watches.
Nice. How does he say he didn't see that?
Yeah,
Hawk
he
put
was
his
seeing
hand
it.
up.
He wasn't catching it, I promise you.
Wow. For the podcast crowd, we show AJ with a nice left-handed grab and a little bow to the crowd sitting next to Hawk Harrelson. He didn't see that. He put his hand up.
When I'm like, heads up.
Yeah.
And he I think he saw it when it got close.
Yeah.
Dude, I was doing the game with him. He didn't even, the players, he didn't know who was on the field. So you think you could see a ball coming at him?
No.
The legend
that's
grows.
fair. The legend does
AJ's
grow.
legend in Chicago grows. The new Northsiders.
That's right. Soon. The North Side White Sox, South Side Gummy Bears.
That's amazing.
And now back to foul territory.
Back at it on Stadium, Braun, Jones, Kratz, Pierzynski, and for the first time on this show, Tom Verducci joining us from Sports Illustrated, MLBN, Fox. You can read a lot of his articles on SI.com and also listen to his pod with Joe Madden and Tom Verducci. We give him the A-plus treatment here. Wait, hold up. There it is. Nice. Very well done behind the scenes by the crew. His latest article is on Josh Donaldson. It's called Josh Donaldson Released by the Yankees is an Exit Velocity Cautionary Tale, which I'm sure these guys will want to get into. Tom, great to see you, and we appreciate the time. And if you didn't catch any of our White Sox talk, first off, wanted to just get your thoughts on the internal hire of Chris Getz to lead the next great White Sox team.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised, guys. We had heard all along that the White Sox were likely to stay in-house. You guys know Jerry Reinsdorf. He's about as loyal as any owner in the business. It took a long time for him to sour on Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn, but you kind of figured he wasn't going to put out an APB to find the next great general manager. He's like, what do I have in-house? He likes to reward people in-house. I get that. He also said pretty much early on, we wanted somebody in place by the end of the year. Now, I don't love that scenario because what you're doing is you're ruling out anybody who's actually under contract to a team this year. I mean, why not wait until the offseason to see who shakes loose? There's probably rumors that David Stearns is going to wind up with the Mets anyway, but Why not at least give yourself a chance to get somebody like that and just hold off for a couple of months? I don't think there's a lot of urgency to have a guy here by the end of the season. But given the way the White Sox operate, the way they like to stay in-house, I didn't think it was a big surprise.
Right, Tom. I agree. I agree. And listen, as a fellow Fox contributor like you, you're kind of my partner in the playoffs. Thank you. Have you ever, Kratz hit on this, and I'm going to steal Kratz's thunder here, but have you ever promoted a guy personally because you think they've asked you to, or they've said, hey, I'm in line for this job. Can you push me over the finish line?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's to me again. I'd rather widen the pool of candidates, right? And you think about Chris Getz; he's been in charge of the White Sox player development. I mean, look at the people of position player wise, especially on the field for the White Sox, and you tell me who has really developed and gotten better at the big league level. I'll give you Luis Robert for sure. After that, I don't see that with Vaughn. I don't see it with Moncada. I don't see it with Anderson. I mean, up and down the line of Jimenez, I just don't see players getting better or close to what their ceiling is. Is that all in Chris Getz? No. But when you're in charge of the player development system, developing a player begins in the minor leagues, continues through the major leagues. Whatever is going on in there in Chicago, to me, is not working because we talk about this team underachieving the last couple of years. I have not bought that at all, guys. I have not liked this team the last couple of years. I think they've been too right-handed. I think they hit way too many ground balls. I think they chase way too much. It's not a diverse offense. I never thought this team was what a lot of people thought they were, just based on sheer ability. So there's probably something systematically here that needs to change in the White Sox system. And maybe it would have taken an outside eye to really discover that.
And kind of what AJ was asking about, like, do you ever promote somebody that you're like, oh, like to me, if I were to say who should be a GM, Raul Ibanez should be a GM. I think Raul Ibanez would do an amazing job because of all the things he's gone through. But guys that you've connected with throughout your time that are like, hey, I'd like to become a GM, whether the assistant GM, because we talked about the fact that Chris Getz, his name never came up anywhere. And I feel like that kind of stuff is like self-promoting. Or are we wrong and we just missed Chris Getz's name somewhere?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I think, the jury is still out on what he might be as a GM. I like your idea of Raul Ibanez. It reminds me a little bit of the Rangers going out and getting Chris Young. I thought that was a great hire by Texas, and I said that at the time, not seeing the Rangers sitting here, competing for an AL West championship, but a former player who's seen the game from the business side and from that commissioner's office side. I love all of his hires that he brought in there, starting with the manager. So it's a good call to look at a former player who has that broad breadth of experience. Obviously, Chris Getz is a former player, but doesn't have that broad breadth of experience. I also look at guys like James Click, who deserves absolutely another job as a GM. I mentioned David Stearns. There's other people out there who you might be able to get, or at least make a phone call. I always say this about managers. When people always want the manager fired, you better have somebody else in mind who is a better option. And give credit again to Chris Young, because Bruce Bochy's a Hall of Fame manager. When he's out there and you're looking for a new manager, you make that call. Maybe Bruce Bochy says, no, I'm cool. I'm retired. I don't want to manage. But that's a call you have to make. And for me, David Stearns is that guy right now. And again, maybe he winds up with the Mets. Maybe that's behind the scenes a done deal. But I don't want to close myself out from the opportunity of hiring somebody like that.
Tom, how you doing, brother?
Good, man.
What the hell is going on with them Angels? This waiver wire, like I've obviously usually throw a player on waivers and then other teams claim them, and it's a whole different process. Now it's just come get them for free. Take what you want, pick what you want, just take their salaries. It's a la carte or something like that. What the hell is going on with the Angels, and how can this set a precedence for not just this year but for the future?
Major league yard sale. I love the idea. It's actually as messed up as the Angels are. We all know that, the longest drought along with Detroit in the American League as far as making the postseason, a lot of wrong decisions. Given all that, this is actually a brilliant move. This is a team that obviously is not going to the postseason, but yet in trying to get there, they pushed themselves over the luxury tax limit. I mean, the worst thing to do is to pay a luxury tax, and you're not even a playoff team, right? So that would affect, if they're going to, I don't think they will re-sign Ohtani, but say they have plans to re-sign Ohtani, they're definitely going over the luxury tax. So you'd rather go over there as a first-time offender, then a second-time offender. You save yourself literally millions of dollars. You also move up your draft pick that you're going to get if Ohtani leaves by not being a payer into the luxury tax system. It makes perfect sense to put these guys on the curbside and say, hey, pick them up. They're there for anybody to pick up. And I get it. Some people are saying, you know what, this is unfair to pennant races because let's say the Marlins have the first shot at all these guys as the teams who are still contenders. And it goes in order of record, of course. So the Marlins could go pick up Giolito and Bader and Renfroe. They pick up as many as they want, right? Maybe that changes the race. Well, so what? I'm okay with that. I love player movement. Usually we close this out. Those Justin Verlander deals in August don't happen anymore because of the new rules. So I think it's actually a brilliant play by the Angels. Let's see how many they wind up dumping here. But if I'm a contender, I have to at least look at these guys because I don't have to give up talent to add a player for September and then have them on my postseason roster. I think it's a brilliant move.
So, Tom, we have you at the literal perfect time as news is coming out right now. So we're seeing from multiple people that the Angels have gotten all of their players claimed. Now, I don't know if that means like Tyler Anderson, who has multiple years. I think people are talking about the guys that are rentals. But the Cleveland Guardians reverse course a little bit. And I know they've got to eat some innings in their rotation, but they pick up Lucas Giolito and Reynaldo Lopez.
Because those two are a package deal everywhere they go.
They will
They
not
are
be
a package deal.
separated.
They went from the Nationals to the White Sox to the Angels to the Guardians.
And Harrison Bader gets picked up by the Reds, and then we'll see if there's any others during these next 5 to 10 minutes. But your thoughts on those two to start, especially Cleveland going bold because they had an upper priority.
Yeah, I mean, my mistake. I counted Cleveland out, but in the last couple of days, they have picked up a game or two. So they did obviously have a choice before the Marlins in terms of putting in a claim. So good on them. I mean, they're still not literally out of it. And again, this is like a free test drive, right? To pick up one of these players. Now, Giolito, I was looking at his numbers, guys. He's been bad with the Angels. I don't think there's anything wrong with him physically. In fact, his velo is actually up a little bit with the Angels. But if you look at the way he's spraying his fastball, his command has been terrible with the fastball. And I chalk it up to a guy going back home, dropped into a pennant race, just trying way too hard. Now, I don't know if Cleveland, and they're really good with pitching, kind of settles him down. They get something out of him, but it's worth a shot. I don't know how you can go wrong. So good on the Guardians for picking up both arms, really good arms. And maybe they're not completely out of it. I mean, this could wind up being a brilliant move by them. It's the advantage of kind of picking first in the pecking order here. So, again, this to me now is going to get the Angels below the luxury tax threshold. Mission accomplished.
By the way, is this more of Cleveland saying we know it's Terry Francona's last year? We're going to take a shot?
Maybe.
I mean, because
hey, why not?
I mean, it's
I'm
kind
sure
of been hinted at.
I'm sure if they went to Tito, I'm sure they did and say, hey, we got a chance to pick up some of these guys. What do you think? He's like, yeah. Are you kidding? What do we have to give up? Wait, we're giving up nothing for Giolito and Lopez? Sign me up.
So in the offseason, do those two have to sign somewhere together?
Yeah, right.
I mean, they've been everywhere together. So
an incredible package deal.
Yes.
You're right. And so, question for you, because this is a surprise, right? I think the Marlins probably would have been interested in at least Reynaldo Lopez to help the bullpen. David Robertson has been just okay with them. And then you even go a little further, like the Cincinnati Reds were a huge miss to me at the trade deadline, because I know this might not be their year, but still, you get in as a wild card team. It's a big sell to your fans that have been showing up. They do pick up Bader that helps the defense and against lefties, and against left-handed pitching. So at least you help your run prevention there a little bit, even though the pitching has been a problem for them, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, especially at the deadline. I thought the Reds needed another starting pitcher. And I knew that, Hunter Green and Lodolo were coming back. But Ashcroft's innings starting to pile up. Abbott's innings starting to pile up. I think it's so hard. You guys know this. When you rely so much on young starting pitching, and I'll put the Marlins in the same boat, by the time you get to September, most of these guys have never really pitched that 6th month of a season. They talk about August being the dog days, and yeah, there's some truth to that. But making those starts when you get to 25, 26, 27, 28, a month you haven't pitched in before in a pennant race, I think that's asking a lot from young pitchers. So I'd rather build in some insurance, and I thought the Reds Could have gone out there and picked up, not a front rotation guy, but just a veteran guy who can probably stretch you out. Like the Lorenzen deal with the Phillies. Unbelievable, because they could go to a 6-man rotation, kind of cut back on all the work that Nola and Wheeler have carried the last couple of years. That was the kind of move I'm talking about a team like the Reds should have made. And give credit to the Phillies. I mean, Dave Dombrowski's as good as there is. And I'm not saying that because the dude threw a no-hitter, but perfect guy to have on that team.
I'll just add one bit of news before your question, Kratz.
You keep breaking news here, Scott.
I mean, it all happens in this one little time period. I wish I'm the one, but no, I mean, I'm just looking at my Twitter feed blowing up. The Guardians also get Matt Moore. He's had a really good year when he's been on the mound. So we were talking about this yesterday because we haven't been in a situation like this before.
Hold on, Tom. Ken Rosenthal, your Fox colleague, broke that one. So you better get off this interview and get on your phone.
No, Tom is not a Twitter monster. That's not his thing. But I will say, Matt Moore gets added. There were questions from fans, and we had questions too because we hadn't been in this situation before. We're like, can one team just claim everyone? And the answer is yes. It goes in order of record, and the Guardians could pick up all these guys before it gets to the next group. So they just had a massive, massive trade deadline haul. We were saying the Twins had the best AL Central trade deadline because they did nothing, basically, and everyone else sold. Now the Guardians just whip their ass.
Dude, they're 5 games.
Yeah,
out.
and I'm sure those other teams, man, right, they didn't see, I don't think they saw the Guardians coming to this extent, because Matt Moore, I thought, was maybe the most valuable piece out there, right? Everybody is looking for bullpen help, especially a left-hander coming out of the bullpen this time of year. What contender doesn't want that? I think the only issue for the Guardians now, and I'm not familiar enough with the back end of their roster, is just finding roster room for all these guys on the 40-man. But again, we talked about young pitching. They have a ton of young pitching. These guys are really going to help this staff navigate September. Whatever shot the Guardians have at getting in the postseason, I'll tell you what, the Minnesota Twins noticed what happened today. I can tell you that. The Guardians now are in the rearview mirror of the Twins for sure.
They just handled them, and they've got another series against them. I'm just saying.
They're 5 games out.
I know, but you sweep them in a series, that makes up 3 games right there. Just saying. Okay. Just saying. And also, one more, Renfroe picked up by the Reds too. So they get Renfroe and Bader. Okay, Kratz, I'm done. Go ahead.
No, just basically the waiver claims just you got to go live in Ohio. So essentially that's what's happening.
What did Joe Kim Noah say? Ain't nobody going on vacation to Cleveland.
Nobody's going on vacation to Cleveland. All right, with Bader going to the Reds, obviously the big news about like Wells and the Martian, Dominguez coming up. Are we looking at a situation similar in New York as 2016 where they called up Judge and Gary Sanchez and kind of were like, maybe we're going to try to build, but adding these pieces, could it next year be the 2017 equivalent?
Yeah, I don't think they have that kind of talent, but the philosophy is the same. You might as well run these guys out there, kind of get a look at the major league level of what you have talent-wise with Dominguez and Pereira and Peraza and some of these younger players. I don't think these are quite impact players immediately, certainly not on the Eric Judge level. But I think it's a smart thing for the Yankees. I mean, they have so few outfielders going into next season that, they had to make this move to, especially with Dominguez, put this guy in the big leagues. What do you have to lose? I mean, I've always had a problem with people who say when you promote a guy to the big leagues, you should do that to have the guy stay. You don't want a guy going back. I don't see anything wrong with having to send a guy back to the minor leagues. So, if he needs more seasoning when next year starts, that's fine. But get his feet wet, get him in the major leagues. It also, shows your fans that this is not a completely lost season. It is in terms of postseason. But, let the fans see what's coming up in the system and let these guys play. So I like what they're doing here. Listen, I said coming into this season about the Yankees, man, they just kind of doubled down on a team that got absolutely blitzed by the Astros and the ALCS. They showed their age last year. And I knew coming into this season, guys, that this year is going to be about young players. When you think about the rules this year, right, it's encouraging stolen bases. Without the shifts on defense, you need range on defense. There's a reason we put Julio Rodriguez on the cover of SI, the baseball preview issue this year, because that's where the game was going. We could see that, right? And you think about the Reds, the Orioles, the Rays, the Diamondbacks, all these teams that popped up. How are they doing it this year? They're not doing it with older players, man. They're doing it with athleticism, range, and speed. Yankees have none of that. So they've been playing an outdated game this year, and this kind of starts at least to turn the page towards playing the game that really you need to play now in today's rules.
Wait. You said you're not going to see them as an impact. Did you see Aaron Judge being the impact he was going to be? Because he hit 180 something, and Austin Wells actually has one more minor league home run in the last 3 years than Judge did before he got called up.
Yeah, I remember the Yankees talking about Gary Sanchez as kind of the best pure hitter of that group when you thought about Judge and Greg Bird and Sanchez, and there's some others
Tyler
came along
Austin.
later. Tyler Austin, you had Miguel Andujar. You know, they were so loaded on outfielders, or so they thought. Bryce Harper's on the free agent market, and the Yankees go, we're good. We've got 6 outfielders that we like. We don't need this guy. Are you kidding me? They've been looking for left-handed power ever since they basically took a pass on Bryce Harper. I don't know how they stayed out of that game, but they sort of overrated some of their younger players. So you're right about Judge. You know, you look at his swing and miss rate and his strikeout rate that rookie season. It was awful. Give the guy credit. He went and found his own teacher there out in the St. Louis area, completely remade his swing. It's a great story. And he did it really by hard work. But no, you didn't see this coming when he stepped in the big leagues. You thought this guy was maybe the next Dave Kingman, but not this kind of MVP level.
Tom, who's been the biggest NL flop? The Padres, the Mets, or the Cardinals? All 3 teams, high payroll, expectations through the wazoo. This year's not
it's plenty of choices, huh? I'm going with the Padres, man. I thought the Padres were a World Series team. I really did. I looked at that roster. I saw the way they played last year in the postseason. You know, like they played well against the Phillies up until the Harper home run. But I looked at that team and I loved their pitching. I thought that the depth they had really would come into play. And offensively, just a team of superstars. But that's how they've played, right? They have not played like a team. When you break down what the Padres have done this year, when you look at late and close situations, the worst hitting team in baseball. Runners in scoring position, bottom 3. Taking strikes in the strike zone, more than any team in baseball. Hitting to the opposite field, one of the worst in baseball. Everything they do screams that this is a team of individuals. They do not play team offensive baseball. I just watched the Chicago Cubs play a series against the Pirates. They move the baseball. They run the bases. If you don't hold runners, they'll take a bag. They start runners on hit and runs. I love the way the Cubs, and they're not a great offensive team, but they can beat you in different ways. The Padres just never showed the ability to play team baseball offensively. So to me, they're the biggest disappointment. We kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And guess what? Here we are getting into September. We're still waiting for this team to get hot. They just haven't been a good team. And the other thing, guys, is you look at that coaching staff. They have changed hitting coaches virtually every season for about 11 straight years. They have about 14 hitting coaches in 12 years. I'm not a big fan of that. I like consistency. I remember talking to Chad Mottola of the Rays in April when the Rays were the best team in baseball. And he said, you know what? We've had a lot of the same guys here. We have some consistency here. So it's easier to get our messages across. Padres, man, they're just changing the page and the language they're using every single year. Now, whether that's why they're not hitting or not, I don't know, but they certainly don't have consistency.
Tom, us Fox people, we have the AL this year before the World Series. You and I will have an ALDS series. So I want to know your prediction on the American League. It seems like it's as wide open as it's ever been. There's no outstanding team. The National League, you can say probably Braves and Dodgers are the best teams, right? But in the American League, you're like, okay, Orioles, they lost Bautista, starting pitching, not great. You go to the West, and you're like, there's holes in the Mariners, the Rangers, the Astros this year. In the Central, obviously, the Twins have holes. So what's your prediction for the American League, and who are we going to cover?
Yeah, first of all, I agree with you. It is really wide open. It depends what week it is, which team you really like the best. I agree with you on Baltimore. They've been the best team all year. I'm not sure they're the best team in the postseason environment. Do they have enough swing and miss on the pitching staff, which is really, to me, what you need? I don't know. To me, one of the most dangerous teams is going to be Seattle. And what I like to do is I look at teams that can get you out in the strike zone with stuff when you get to the postseason. Because you guys know, nobody gives away an at-bat in the postseason, right? Everybody's locked in. The scouting reports get even more firmer and finer in terms of what to look for, what to sit on, what to stay away from. You can't get away with finesse stuff. You can't get away with getting guys to chase all the time. So to me, I look at what teams can pound the zone with stuff and get you out in the zone. And nobody in the American League does that better than 1 through 13, the Mariners pitching staff. They got a pitching staff full of strike throwers who come at you with all these funky angles. You've got, Logan Gilbert throwing the ball from about 3 feet in front of the plate with that long stride of his. They've got so many different looks. There's no team that's better at throwing fastballs from a low angle to the high point in the strike zone, which plays definitely in October. So I think they're a nightmare matchup. They almost took out Houston last year, which is hard to say because they couldn't score any runs. But they could pitch with them inning by inning last year in the postseason. Now they have a little more experience. So are they the best team? I don't know about that, guys. But I think pitching-wise, I think they're the most dangerous American League team in the tournament. If they get in, which I think they will.
I worked with Tom for many years. We're often on the same page.
I mean, you guys are. I mean, man, Scott's been talking about the Mariners since day one.
Since March.
We joked on him, but now here they are.
Did I waver?
Yeah, I know. I never
wavered
thought
on
they're
your Padres. He said Padres Mariners World Series.
Okay, sorry. I'm batting 500.
That's just because he wanted to go to the West Coast.
That's true. That is true. I wanted to go to San Diego, and hey, no one saw that coming from San Diego.
No.
Not making the playoffs.
No.
Tom, awesome to have you on. Really timely for this too. Appreciate it. Great to catch up with you.
Yeah, anytime, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. And make sure you check out SI.com, Tom's latest article on Josh Donaldson, how that signing went so wrong for the Yanks, to get a lot more insight on it. All right, we'll swing right back on Stadium to keep going over the second trade deadline that was just created by the Angels.
Wow.
I feel bad. You know who I feel bad for is Mike Trout, man. He's been doing this. This has been going on for years now. He's a guy that he needs to get out of there. He needs to go. And, if I'm him, if they don't get a monster haul back in this offseason, it's time to start making waves. I mean, I would cause a problem. Be like, hey, listen, I don't want to be here anymore. Figure it out to get me out of here, and that's it. And I know his contract is humongous. I know it's going to be hard to do, but I would want to be out of there as soon as possible.
We had that conversation yesterday, right?
We
Remember
did.
I said, go to him, go to Artie Moreno quietly after the season and just say,
Yeah.
dude, I want out, and see what he says.
Well, and my thing is,
and
Todd,
be like, I can help you for the next 10 years.
Yeah, Todd you're friends with Trout for years. If you're having lunch with him in the off season, do you sit with him and say, hey, bud, I know you're nice as hell and you're living the good life, but you really want to win, and I know this isn't your style, but maybe you should sit down with Artie. You have a relationship with him, and do like what AJ said, and just explain to him that you guys got to rebuild, and I've got prime years that are going to disappear here pretty soon. Yeah,
he's got, I don't know how many years he has on the contract, but it's a lot. So it's something where, it's not fun to play for a losing team. It's not fun at all. I've been on a couple. I know you guys have been on a bunch of them. It's boring. All you want to do is you can't wait till football comes around, and that's terrible to think about. You got a job to do, and it's something where, he's got to take the bull by the horns and explain to him, hey, Art, man, listen, you screwed up. Enough's enough. I want out. Let's figure this out, and let's be cordial about this whole thing, and let's fix this because you messed up, and it's time for me to go.
Apparently, Harrison Bader found out he was on waivers from watching TV, and he was asking the dudes, like, what's waivers? And they're probably like, dude, you might be gone. I mean, he hasn't been hitting the ball well, but he's actually a guy that's not on big money.
And now, back to foul territory.
Woo, what a day. How was that trade deadline?
Dude, we're only like 40 minutes in, dude. We got another hour and a half to go.
The Angels just created a second trade deadline, and I do think at some point it's going to get addressed because it is cool to have this, but at the same time, at least let teams then trade or do something. Like, this is just salary dumps. It completely fucks with the integrity of the sport. I mean,
Jonesy's on that
crazy.
CAP, dude. Get on the commissioner's assistance program and
true.
tell them to clean up this shit.
Hey, man, this is it. People wanted different rules. These are the different rules. There's always going to be a manipulation of something, and it's pretty cool. All these guys are just going to other places. Look, you know that when you make one rule, We know how to manipulate it. It's Major League Baseball,
Dude,
and it's all and everything else. They're
Here's
manipulating.
the thing that ain't cool about it, though.
Yeah.
The rules were put in so that you couldn't do this to get under the luxury tax. The Angels are doing it to save money.
No, they're going to be under the luxury
I know,
tax.
because they
everybody
got-
but Grichuk and I.
Why don't they put Ohtani on there? Like, how cool?
Dude,
how
that would be.
cool
What if they put Ohtani on waivers?
like,
Of course,
why not?
That'd be awesome, but
why not? Like him go to Cleveland?
he wouldn't even get to Cleveland though. He wouldn't get to
You don't
Cleveland.
think? You
Who was
think the A's
first?
would, what if he
The
put him
A's
on
would
and the A's
probably
claimed
claim
him?
him. Why?
The A's were like, we're claiming him.
Anybody that has him instantly profits. Instantly profits.
So it goes in order of record, not order
Yes.
of actual potential of to get into the playoffs.
No.
Record.
Order of
Okay,
record.
so the bad
That's
teams
why
are not
the Guardians
adding
were
salaries for no
out.
reason.
Everybody's
Right.
already done like an obit on the Guardians, and as you can see here, so they get Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez, and Matt Moore. They built a new bullpen just now and
They
added
got
a
a good
starter.
and a legit
Those
starter.
are three pitchers that have stuff. That's a huge add. If we looked at the trade deadline a month ago and said this is what they did, we'd be like, nice.
If they would have got those three a month ago, we'd be like, hey, they might win the division.
They might win, and they still think they are, and good for them. Tito is going to call it a career, and this
Allegedly.
is
You
he's
didn't hear
going
that
to
here.
call it a career. I will say it, okay?
He's going
Tito can call
upstairs.
me if he disputes that. We even had Andres Jimenez on, and he said it without saying it. He's
I
calling it a
said it.
career. You said it?
On the air.
So you said it then. To say it with your chest. Who
Give him,
cares?
yeah.
Tito's not
Hey.
coming back next year, Cleveland. I'm sorry.
So
How's
this
that for
is
my
your
chest?
swan song. You want to give you know how they do all the bullshit gifts on the field? Oh, here's your rocking chair made of bats. For Tito, it's here's Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez, and Matt Moore. Go try and shock the world and win a division. They have the same record as the Angels. 64-70, baby.
But they're in a different division.
I
without
know,
three playoff
but let's
teams in front of
fucking
them.
go. You're 6 under. It's almost
Oh.
September. It's September in hours from now, and we just gave you a little extra boost. Okay? That's
Poor
fucking
Harrison
awesome.
Bader went from New York to Cincinnati.
Bader's from New York too, and he was like a little emotional
Poor guy. I'm sure he
when they were
was.
asking him about it the other day.
Stay at
when he was
Montgomery
placed on
Inn.
waivers. Yeah, they get him and they get Hunter Renfroe. The Diamondbacks come up empty, and
They would've
Nick
taken all
Picoro
those
said
guys.
he was told they had
They
claims
would
in
have
on
taken
4
all three of the
players.
dudes on that the Guardians got.
I'm sure that many teams in that little wild card race, the Diamondbacks, the Reds,
Giants.
the Giants, the Marlins, were all putting in claims that they missed out on because they're looking and they're going, the Guardians? Really? I think it's awesome.
I love it. I want all teams to try this.
Who's
They
left?
should have claimed everybody just to mess with everybody.
But then done what?
Then they
The
don't
Guardians actually
Yeah.
have a chance of making the
I know.
playoffs. Like I bet their percentage is like 2% or something, but they have a chance. It's 5 games. They still have games against the Twins. They've been beating them lately. It's not out of the realm of possibility that one team slumps and they gain. It's only one team to pass. This isn't like one of those wild cards. This isn't the Red Sox where they're whatever 6 and change back. There's too many teams to leapfrog. The Guardians have a chance. It's an outside
And they're in the
chance. They have
Central,
a
so they
chance.
got games against the Royals. They got games against the Tigers. They got games against the White Sox.
This is fucking awesome.
I love it. I want teams to try. You guys want teams to try, don't you? Like I want every team to try.
And also,
Yeah.
their ownership just spent not a lot, but a few $1,000,000. And for some owners, that's a big deal, even though they're all rich. For some owners, that's a big deal. I at least give Guardians ownership credit for saying, yes, let's spend some money here, because we talk way too much about owners that have alligator arms, basically, that are watching their
Dude, Reno
wallets.
Grichuk's staying. Why was I the lucky one to get to stay in?
He's
Ann
the
Arbor?
only one that didn't get claimed of the rental
But
players.
what if they just did it instead of like getting 7 players, you got, maybe 2, maybe 3 to limit it to where some teams it sounds like the teams at the top, the Dodgers, the Orioles, the Braves, they're not getting anybody and nobody's going to be left, literally, like no person. So maybe you can limit it because, I love what the Guardians do. I hope they claim 9 people and revamp their team and get into the playoffs. But there has to be, I assume there would probably be a limit so that some teams on the back end of it who probably don't need it as the records indicate, but still they would probably want somebody because Matt Moore, like you said, was the most coveted guy and he could help out.
Dude, you're on the
Every team.
commissioner's assistance team, bro. Let's go. Clean this shit up.
That's a different legality on that side.
They're not
He's
doing
on the
that.
keep his job team. He's
I'm the
on
fun
Yeah.
part. I'm all about the fun and the celebration and the growth of the game.
Adam's part of the he's a director of fun and games.
That is.
Exactly.
That
Food.
is.
No, he's the director of food.
Food
Which is
director.
under fun. I'll just give you real quick. So the Guardian schedule for the rest of the month. Rays this weekend. That's not easy. 3 against the Twins to start next week. Then they have 4 against one of the worst teams in baseball now, the Angels. Then they have 3 against the Giants, 3 against the Rangers, who haven't been playing well lately, 3 against the Royals, 4 against the Orioles, 2 against the Reds, and they finish their season with the Detroit
that's a
Tigers.
hard-ass schedule.
No, it's not. I don't think that's a hard schedule.
Tampa Bay, Minnesota, San Francisco, Texas, Baltimore, Cincinnati.
Also,
That's
you're missing Angels, Royals, Tigers, 3
Half and
against
half.
the team right in front of them.
Dude.
I actually don't
and
think
no
that's
White
that
Sox,
bad.
man. They need the White Sox to come. They need White Sox right now.
This is good. This is good. I love this juice. All right, we'll come back with picks. We have a lot to get to in the second hour. Yes, thank you. Make sure you put your Dukes up against Brandon Belt and also Lane Thomas, who will join us in the second hour. We'll ask him about this waiver bonanza going on. Coming up. But also what we're seeing from Milwaukee. I know the win streak finally ended, but damn, if this team can hit, they might win a World Series.
Yeah, I think you're seeing the rotation that the Brewers thought that they would have when the year started, right? Obviously, not having Brandon Woodruff for an extended period, that hurt them a lot. Not having the version of Corbin Burns that they thought they would see, from the start of the season, obviously hurt. But those guys have figured it out. Freddie Peralta, friend of the show, Corbin Burns, and Brandon Woodruff have combined for an ERA around 2.80 in the second half. So you're getting the starting pitching that you wanted. And then now you're starting to see some of that offense. I don't think they're ever going to be an offense that goes out and blows people away, scoring 6-7 runs. But if they can get 4 or 5, knowing that you have Devin Williams in the back end of that bullpen, they're going to be able to win some ball games. And I think what's really fun to me at this point in the season is that you still have that head-to-head matchup, Cubs and Brewers up in Milwaukee, last 3 games of the season. It should be a lot of fun.
I'm watching Dylan Cease go out, and he's giving up 3 in the first. Should the White Sox have traded Dylan Cease?
All right, to the Cease point first, should they have traded him? Maybe, right? Like, if you didn't get exactly what you wanted with the club control that he has left, you're in no rush to do that, right? Like, if they wanted to come back in the offseason and say, all right, let's find a landing spot for Dylan Cease where he would still have 2 years left of club control. We can still get a hell of a haul for him and kick this rebuild off right. Sure, right? Like, I wasn't all like, oh my gosh, it wasn't Shohei, right? Where you have a guy who's an impending free agent, you don't move him, and then you don't make the playoffs. So I look at those two things differently because of the contract and the club control.
And now back to foul territory.
All right, a quick look at poll results. We'll get to the Dodgers and Braves matchup that's starting up this week or tonight. But the team
NLCS preview?
Maybe. Well, who is the team that could take down the Braves before the World Series? And we gave you the options of Dodgers, Phillies, Brewers, or another team. And the Phillies are winning by a pretty large margin in the poll. So, and hey, they did it last year. So it's not a crazy thought to throw out there. All right, let's run through our picks. We got a lot to do still today, obviously. Keep going through all the pickups by the teams and then get to some big guests. So it is time for your BetMGM locks for Thursday. Let's first backtrack. Kratz, I'm feeling it a little right now.
I can see you feeling it, and I like that. You got that little smirk. Your hair's a little higher. I love it.
ATL to cover. They did against the Rocks, and then Acuna got his knock. He was 0 for 4. I was sweating it. Everyone else had a knock. I'm like, really, dude? This is the one day? So, AJ,
he got it.
He got it, and you got it because you tailed me. Wait, Cincinnati won yesterday. We'll fix that.
They
Reds
did
won
win.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Give Todd that
gets
dub.
the boys. Todd
We
gets
got
the boys
3 out of
hot.
4. Yeah, and then you didn't cover. They won by a run.
Dude, I know. And they
Got
had
hooked.
second and third and one
I
out. Gino
know.
Suarez freaking.
Talking about the Mariners
Oh,
against
man.
the A's. All right, there's
I'm
your
like,
money
come
bags.
on, dude. They had all kinds of chances too to add run.
I was
But my
rooting
boy
for you.
Neil, he had like 6 punches.
Yeah,
on
he
him. 2 was
hit
the
it
easy
easy.
number.
You're right. And the other one hit too, right?
Yeah, Miller.
Miller got 5.
Yeah,
Oh,
he had like 8 too.
No, I think you got 5.
Oh,
Hit 5.
But still, you hit it.
Yeah, enough.
You're good. All right, so get back on track. What do you got?
I'm going first.
Yes,
I'm
we only
going.
have 2 minutes.
I'm easy. I actually have 2 bets today. So one, Atlanta Dodgers over. I think it's 8.5. I'm taking that. Lynn and Strider. Those teams rake. Second of all, my second bet is, what the fuck is a Ute? Right tonight, Gator football, baby. 8 o'clock. Let's go. What the fuck is a Ute? They're covering their 4.5. Let's go Gator.
Incredible. And we're going to put that on the board, too. But just leave that on for a sec, please.
No, it's too small. It hurts my head.
Fine, take it off, Kratz.
I'm going to go Strider, the Strider-Lynn game. Strider's giving me 6+ Ks. He's giving up 3+ hits. Lance is giving up 4+ hits and 1+ walks. All those things have happened in either 23 or 25 of their 26 starts. Book it.
Wow, I like that. Very, very well backed. Quickie one, Jones, because we got 1 minute.
I'm going. The fat lady is not saying, but her vocals are getting warmed up in the back for my San Diego Padres, and I'm going. This is the last ditch effort. Padres to win. Machado to get an RBI for plus 250. Right now, it's not added, but I need Tatis with a stolen base and Soto with a walk. Only way they can win is if all of them do something.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, we'll
that's
see
a
if
lot
they
of
post
shit
that
to
later. That's a
Last
lot for a
ditch
while.
effort, baby. Last
I got
ditch effort.
Marlins money line. I like the Braxton Garrett Don matchup. Garrett good on the road, better on the road, and I need over 4.5 runs to pair it for -120. Over 4.5. I think the Marlins will get that alone. Love that little bonus.
No, the Gators are
coverage,
plus 4.5, dude. They're plus.
Oh, they're plus
They're
4.5.
getting 4. They're on the road.
Claude, we got to
What the
fix
fuck
that.
is a Ute?
Claude, they get 4.5. All right. Download the BetMGM Sports app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Use the bonus code FOUL. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your BetMGM Sportsbook account, and you place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if that bet loses. It's a good deal going on right now.
Hey,
Good
by the way,
promo.
Jonesy.
If it loses, your bonus bets will be available once your wager is settled. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back on Foul Territory's YouTube channel.
Gotta let go so I can be free. I take the weight on my shoulders. I feel the sky come down on me, and I can't hold it much longer. Gotta let go so I can be free. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Damn, save some news for another day. It's like when a team wins a game 28-2 or some shit, or I mean that's a little
Save some
unrealistic. Save some runs for a different show. We're on every day. FT Live on our YouTube right now, or if you're listening on the pod, what's good? It's Kratz, it's Adam Jones, it's Pierzynski, it's Braun, it's waiver day, and there's a ton of movement, and there's even other news. But to recap, the Cleveland Guardians are going for it. They picked up Lucas Giolito, Matt Moore, and Reynaldo Lopez for free 99 in terms of prospects and paid a few $1,000,000. Everybody's rich. If you own a team, it's no big deal. The Reds picked up Harrison Bader and Hunter Renfroe to give themselves a little boost, including on the run prevention side. Renfroe's got a really good arm, and Bader plays a really, really good outfield.
Yeah.
Even though he struggled with the bat, he can hit lefties, plays a really good outfield. He'll sub in late. And then Dom Leone claimed by the Mariners. Other teams put in claims, like the Diamondbacks apparently put in 4 claims, but they just didn't get anyone. This is a great one from Bob Nightingale. Do you want to read it?
Bob Nightingale, I know they're your Padres there, Jonesy, but we're going to tombstone them today. Padres officially give up. They surrender. They didn't bother making a waiver claim.
They wouldn't have gotten anyone, but they didn't try. Well, they might have gotten some.
They got a worse record than Cleveland. They're 10 under.
Do they have a worse record than Cleveland?
They're 10 under, aren't they?
Yes.
Guardians are 6 under.
They're 10 under. You're right. They would have gotten all those
They could have had everybody.
You're right. My bad.
The Mets are firing everybody. The Padres could have had everybody.
You're right. That's
Dominic Leone's about to go off if the Mariners just got him.
He did.
He did. He's claimed. And then Randall Grichuk was not claimed. Carlos Carrasco was not claimed.
He gone.
And also there's some news in terms of the Mets making some front office shakeups. But I'm going to table that because our next guest is ready.
By the way, next time we have this waiver trade deadline, since Jonesy's not going to change it with Manfred, we're going to have to have like a 6-hour show. Like
this is like a trade deadline special. No, I'm going to be
like
pissed.
Jonesy can't get this done with Manfred. We're going to have to have a 6-hour show on
I'm
waiver
going to be pissed that we're leaving at 3 today. Let's bring in our next guest, veteran from the Toronto Blue Jays, not claimed by anyone else, still on the Blue Jays. Brandon Belt with us right now. Brandon, great to see you, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, guys. How are y'all doing?
Good, dude. It's like it's trade deadline part 2. Did you see all this shit going on right now around the league?
Yeah, I saw it. I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like this before. So, it's kind of crazy right now.
Did you get claimed?
As far as I know, no, I haven't. But who knows? I guess I'll find out tomorrow at the field.
I thought, though, you've been in the league for a while, Brandon. I thought that the whole point of having one trade deadline was to not have this. So players weren't still moving teams. Like, this is a lot of movement. This isn't the trade deadline where it's probably 30 players moving, but we're going to have like close to 10-ish players moving by the end of the day.
Yeah, I know it's a little strange seeing this. I mean, I remember we had this a few years ago when we had the waiver trades, but I don't know what to think about this. Honestly, I don't remember seeing it that much in the past. So I don't know. Have y'all seen anything like this before?
Not this way, because this is pretty new too.
This
that
is
we had
first year.
No, it was last year too, right?
Yeah, but I mean, last year was shortened because of the strike and
the
lockout. Excuse me. But yeah, this is the first year this has really been a thing. And listen, Jonesy's pro commissioner, so as players, we don't really want to have to move this late in the season. So we, as players in the CBA, we tried to. You guys tried to stop it. So like they knew it August 1st. Like, this is where I'm going to be. And then all of a sudden, those darn Angels, man, they freaking come up with a new way to play the game.
Always.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon, how you doing, brother? Let's
I'm
talk
good.
about
How you doing?
let's talk about your team, the Blue Jays. A lot of expectations. The last 3 years, obviously, you just get over there, but a lot of expectations. You guys are still right in the thick of the race. You're a playoff-bound team. What will it take this last month, September? Hopefully, you're still on the team as you find out tomorrow. What will it take this last month to solidify you guys as a playoff team? Because again, the roster is one of the best rosters in the game, as you know, but you haven't exceeded the expectations yet. Once you get in the playoffs, it doesn't matter what you do. What will it take for this team to get into the playoffs and do some damage?
It's for me, it's just from my past experience, it's going to take everybody stepping up. I mean, it can't just be one person going up there and making the difference on the team. Obviously, we have some superstars on the team that can do that. That if they get hot, they can carry a team. But I think to be a World Series team, a playoff team, you have to have multiple people step up throughout the lineup, throughout the entire team. So because we can't just rely on these few superstars that we have, it's got to be everybody stepping up, doing their role, and playing good baseball and playing mistake-free baseball in order to get into the playoffs. And I would say, I'd be, one of the first to admit that we've underperformed a little bit. But it's not just you can't just put that on a couple of guys. It's got to be every person stepping up a little bit.
So we have Whit Merrifield on here all the time. And Whit said, you constantly are saying how you're your teammates are so lucky to play with you because you're not even getting paid that much to play. You're essentially just volunteering. Is this true? Are you volunteering your time over the border to play with a Major League Baseball team?
I wouldn't even say it's volunteering. I feel like I'm more like I'm paying to play this year. I hate to say that because it's just a joke that we say in the clubhouse, and now people are going to see this and think I'm a douche. But no, I took a little bit of a pay cut this year. Nobody's crying for me though. But honestly, I was just happy to get back out there because of, last year was a tough year for me. I had a lot of injuries, and I just didn't want to end my career like that. So I wanted to get back out there one more year and show people what I could do because I really feel like I had a lot more left in the tank.
All right. Obviously, I called some of our ex-teammates. I want you to do this entire next bit as Bruce Bochy. Okay, I want you to do your Bochy impersonation. Okay, reacting to Brandon Crawford telling me that your old locker is now his shoe locker. Like he doesn't even put his cleats in there; just his smelly shoes go in there. So I want you to do that as Bruce Bochy.
As telling me,
yeah,
Brandon, you've been good for us, but here lately you've kind of sucked. So we're gonna take that locker you normally use, and we're gonna put it for Crawford's shoes because they mean a lot more to this team than you do, honestly. And if you don't step up, you're gonna be out of here pretty quick. I know I got to bring you up to the big leagues, and I'll definitely take you out of it if you don't play your game.
That's so spot on.
That was good.
I can't wait to see Bochy on Saturday and be like, man, you got to see Brandon Belt's impersonation of you. He's going to look at me and go,
I have a terrible impersonation. There's so many guys that have good ones of him, and it's just not me, but I could definitely see him saying that to me.
All right. Well, are you the captain of Toronto? Have you declared yourself captain Toronto yet?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm self-appointed captain and MVP. It was pretty obvious when I stepped in from I wouldn't say the first month. The first month was pretty bad, but when I started stepping up, they shouldn't have let me do any better because when I did, I definitely appointed myself captain and MVP of the team, and now everybody has to do what I tell them.
And just to give a little more context for everyone, we do have this prepared. It is very relevant right now. Brandon Belt addressing the really fucked up situation that occurred at the All-Star game where Ohtani took his place. Let's run it.
Well, I mean, I think y'all know my thoughts. I mean, I should have been in first place, probably by a couple million votes. But unfortunately, the All-Star game's rigged. They put the people in there that they want in there. They don't want me in there for some reason. So I'll be sitting at home watching Shohei hitting my spot in the All-Star game. Will he do as good as me? Probably not. But, that's the cards I was dealt. So I got to live with it.
Brandon, this show is created for players to have a spot to truly have an outlet and be authentic.
He was right on.
I know. I just want to get his follow-up to what you saw at the All-Star game and Ohtani continue to not be as good as you and kind of your post standout quote, what you have to say.
Yeah, so I did watch the All-Star game, but I don't even remember what he did in the All-Star game, which is probably says a lot. I think if I would have played, everybody would have remembered what happened. I'd have probably hit bases empty, grand slam, something like that, won the MVP, got a brand new car or something. But instead they put Shohei in there for some reason. I don't know. I can't figure out why. Maybe just because I'm from Texas or something. I can't figure it out. But MLB doesn't like me, and they love Shohei. So I was sitting at home watching it with my friends, and he got to play in the All-Star game.
Now, I understand this, but I also understand why you weren't, because back in 2016, we have a video of your All-Star season. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, this was right before the All-Star game, and you were hot. Yeah. But I think some fans, it was swayed by this pitch.
I remember that. No, yeah, that was great. I'm glad y'all showed that. That was pretty awesome. I actually, I'd forgotten about it, and I was getting on with my life, but now I got to relive this whole thing. And that was an invisible, man. You threw that like 75, and it just didn't get there when I thought it was going to get there.
I was peppering you with knuckleballs. Yeah, I was peppering you with knuckleballs and heaters, and then I turned one over on you. You got to look it up.
Yeah.
It was a changeup.
I don't need to look it up. I remember it very vividly. I don't want to ever see it again. But you know what? I don't have a hit off a position player yet, so I hope you don't feel that special.
Oh, I feel really special because you signed the ball for me, and it's sitting in a case in my house. And you know what else you have on Ohtani? Everything in here is good. You could have probably pitched an inning.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. I mean, listen, I was. You can just look up my high school highlights. I was probably the best pitcher that had ever come out of the United States of America. I had a few shoulder problems, set me back a little bit, but my arm's good now. There's no doubt if I got on the mound, it'd probably be an immaculate inning.
Hold on, did you play for? You were obviously a Texas guy. Did you play for Augie?
I did. I played for Augie.
We weren't there when Jordan Danks. You were after Jordan Danks, right?
I played with Jordan.
Yeah.
Were you there for the famous meeting where he's like, 15 minutes from now, you guys are going to be fucking your girlfriends and you'll forget about baseball. I hate you.
Oh, man. No, so the one that was on the movie, the documentary, I was not there for. That was the year before me. But I promise you, we got 2 or 3 that were exactly like that. And we had some guys that I can't remember exactly what happened, but they were on Facebook, like flipping off the camera. One was humping like a monkey statue at I don't know where they were, like a mini golf place. And that didn't sit well with Augie. So he let it rip on us. And honestly, he ruined a couple guys' careers. He lit into them so much. I don't think they could mentally take it anymore. And they just kind of faded away and didn't play a whole lot after that. So it was something pretty special playing for him. Honestly, I loved Augie. I meetings like that, I hate to say this, but I started laughing a little bit. I mean, it was just kind of funny watching it, but he got the best out of us, and I think that was the most important thing. He passed away right before I had my second boy. So I actually named my second born after him.
Oh, that's awesome. And if you haven't seen that video, just Google Augie Garrido, Texas Clubhouse. And it's one of the great all-time baseball rants. I mean, it's in the top 5 for sure of him just telling these poor college kids, like, this isn't about baseball. This is life. This is life.
It's good passion.
Yeah, it's awesome. They need to watch it.
Hey, Brandon. Oh, go ahead, Kratzy.
Oh, no, I was just going to quick say, I can't believe you and Jordan Danks were on the same team. I mean, just so much dryness. There was 0 liquid on that entire team.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And me and Danksy were really good buddies back then. So we got along great. We were just a couple of goofballs, man, that didn't take anything seriously. And we just had a lot of fun. But yeah, I love Danksy. I hadn't seen him in a while, but I hope I don't know what he's doing now, but I hope he's doing well.
So Brandon, I want to get your answer to this, like real, and then like the Brandon Belt answer too. Maybe whether you want to mix both into the same answer, that's fine, or give me 2 separate versions. What would the back of your baseball card look like if you spent your entire career smashing baseballs in Toronto and not in San Francisco?
I would honestly, I tell the guys this all the time, and I don't think there is anybody that disagrees with me. I'd probably be the first player in the Hall of Fame while he was playing. San Francisco is just a graveyard of a field. No, honestly, I don't know. I don't know what it would say. I can't say anything bad about playing for the Giants and played at AT&T Park. It was really a huge part of my life for so long. I absolutely loved it. I have nothing bad to say. They changed my life over there. But it's definitely not a hitter's park. But it's something that you can't go out there and pay attention to it too much. You have to go play your game because that's just the hand you're dealt. And you just take what you got at the end of the season, and I think that's
Barry
what I'm
Bonds
most proud
disagreed.
of.
Barry Bonds
What's
said it was
that?
a fucking bandbox. Barry Bonds said that place is a fucking bandbox. So
the
quit
only
complaining.
that guy, he could have played anywhere. He was in ball 700 feet, so it didn't matter to him. But for me, with no power, I got just enough power to get it out of the park. It didn't play that well for me. But you know what? I am proud that I battled through a lot of it. I mean, it was tough. Like I said before, nobody's crying for me, but it is a place that mentally it can drag you down a little bit because you take balls that you think are going to be home runs, and not only they're not home runs, they're not hits, they're outs. So if you're in a slump, it can keep you there. And so you just got to fight through it.
Did you get a splash hit? What number splash hit?
Well, I think the most important splash hit I got was number 69. We were on 68 for like 2 years, and then I hit 69, and then I think Denard Span hit 70 like 2 days later. So we didn't even get to enjoy it for that long. But yeah, I want to say I had like 10 splash hits.
69.
What year was that?
Oh man, I'm not sure. Probably around 17 or 18.
Okay, so I played there in 2004. I had 35. So he's like talking about 2017, dude. It took Barry Bonds retired and then went from because Barry Bonds was the only one that could hit him. I had 35, and then he had 69 like 15 years later.
Yeah, Bonds was hogging up the damn
Bonds
Cove.
was hogging them all.
Hey, I'm second place behind Bonds. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm only 25 behind him. If I can go back there and play another 50 years, I might catch up with him.
Hey, Buster wanted to know if you ever didn't play in a game because of a tummy ache.
Oh gosh.
What?
I guess technically. I mean, I told him, I was like, bro, I just don't feel good today. Something does not feel right. And they're like, oh, you're fine. Go out there and play. I was like, okay, I'm going. And then I had an at bat. I was like, dude, I feel like my stomach is about to explode. And they're like, all right, come on in. Let's see the doctor. And he pushes on my stomach a little bit, and I almost cried because it hurt so bad. Probably didn't cry, but you get the idea. It hurt. Well, I go to the doctor, and I had to have my appendix taken out. And the whole time, after that, I can't live it down. They just always got, oh, you came out because your tummy hurt or something like that. Because I think one of the writers said I came out with a stomach ache or something, and I was in the hospital getting surgery, having my appendix taken out.
Wait, how long did you miss for your appendix?
Like 10 days.
Oh, because Adam Dunn wanted to play. Adam Dunn, big Texas football player. He wanted to play the next day.
That's insane.
He came back.
He's a lot tougher than I am. I'm a wuss. So if I have surgery, I'm gonna milk it for a few days and take my time off. No, honestly, I felt like after probably about 4 or 5 days, I was fine. Like it was, you just have to get used to those incisions. Tearing up your stomach muscles. Once you get over that, it's not a big deal.
Adam Dunn had more cushion.
Hair.
I mean, Adam probably has a little more of a belly than.
I think Adam Dunn weighs a little bit more than.
That's what I'm saying. It's an easier recovery if they're not just ripping muscle. There's other stuff to rip through it. It's an easier recovery.
You're trying to say Adam Dunn's fat?
I actually had a conversation with a doctor about this because I had my appendix out too. It's the one thing I can actually comment on. So I will say.
Okay.
Adam Dunn is a big dude. I don't think he would dispute that. What was his nickname?
Big Donkey.
Big Donkey.
He played quarterback at Texas, which is still unbelievable to me.
Quarterback.
Not left tackle, quarterback.
So, Brandon,
I had my gallbladder out too. So.
Oh shit!
Damn, you're running out of organs to take out.
Yeah, I'm running out, man. I think I only need one kidney, so maybe that can go next. But I'm running out of stuff to take out right now.
You know why this is? It's because you walk around with nothing on your feet. You're the only guy I ever played with that walked around the clubhouse, showered, everything in bare feet.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not disgusting.
No, I mean, especially in the shower, there's soap everywhere. It's fine. It's cleaning your feet. But I don't like wearing shoes. My feet hurt, especially after wearing cleats all day. I want to take all my shoes off and just walk around barefoot. It has, it's just a comfort thing. I can't it just feels better. I mean, I got big feet and they hurt all the time. So barefoot feels better to me.
There's no way Murph let you do that.
It's
There's no
called
way
grounding. No,
There's
it's
no
called
way-
grounding.
Yeah,
Guys
yeah,
do
you
that
don't
now.
ground in
You
the
know about
clubhouse.
grounding, right?
That's
Ground
Gabe
outside.
Kapler grounding.
No, the
There's
grounding.
no way
That's
that
a big
Murph
thing
let
now.
you walk around without shower shoes on.
Yeah, Murph loved it. Murph thought it was great. Me and Murph were best friends. Me and Murph were best friends. I didn't ask too much of him, and he just laughed at my jokes. So
That's
we
perfect.
have a great relationship.
Murph just went into the Hall of Fame. Mike Murphy, the clubhouse guy in San Francisco. Did you ever see him? Was his dog still around in San Francisco when you got there? Did he bring his dogs in?
Yeah, he did. I think the one, the first one he had passed away. Then he got another one, but the dog was always in there, and I love the dog. But he's always throwing the tennis ball around. Dog's chasing it everywhere. So the dog brings it up to you. You got to throw it. You don't want to disappoint the dog or Murph. So you just take the tennis ball and you throw it.
Did you ever see Murph? Because he used to feed the dog donuts. Did you ever see Murph feed the dog donuts? That was the best part. Sunday morning, come in for a day game. Murphy's sitting there and the dog's laying on the chair. And Murph would be like, I'm like, Murph, come in and pet the dog. And he'd be like, hold on, I got to feed him. And he'd hand him a pink glazed donut. And the dog would, oh
Really?
my gosh.
No, I never saw that. That's probably because I ate all the donuts. There weren't any left.
Hey, Brandon, do reporters ever not understand your personality when you make a certain claim or a joke or some of the conversations we've had just now? Like, have you ever had one where you're like, well, I don't understand it. I'm way better than him, so who gives a fuck or something? And then they're like, go on. I've got a big story here. Has anyone not understood your shtick?
Yeah, I think at first maybe they're kind of wondering why I'm so weird, and then they figure it out real quick that I'm not really serious about it. But it's I think when I first came to Toronto, I'm meeting a whole new group of media people and reporters. So they're like, "What is this guy doing?" And but I think it comes across pretty quick that I'm not 100% serious about anything. Maybe half joking.
Adam, you there?
Say it again.
Oh, sorry. I thought did you have a question?
No.
Oh.
Then never mind.
Are you there? Okay.
Wait, no, I thought Jonesy was going to ask about some fishing trip you had in Toronto. Did you get lost at sea or something?
It's a lake.
No, I
You still get lost at lake?
No, I went up to Lake Simcoe north of Toronto to go fishing, and we just absolutely blasted them. I mean, I probably caught 8,000 fish in one day. And after that, we got back to the ramp, and the game warden was there, and he's like, "Bro, you're done. You're banned from this lake. We've never had anybody catch that many fish, and you're not ever coming back." So I'm banned from Lake Simcoe for catching too many fish, and I want to go back up there. But I got to go to some of these smaller. I might have to go to Lake Ontario now because that's the only lake I think that has enough fish for me.
Brandon, are you a free agent after this year? What's your contract sitch?
Yeah, I'm a free agent after this year.
Okay, so you're having a great year. You're 35 years old. You've made good money, been in the league for a while. Is it fun at this point to enter free agency after this year and kind of feel like a boss? Like, yo, I'm going to get my terms to an extent, which will probably be like Ohtani's contract. I'm going to pick and choose to an extent where I want to go if I don't end up staying with Toronto. Like, what's it like to be a vet in a position like this? It's not like you're like, man, I got to take whatever's at me or I'm going to be on the streets.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit different this year. I think, I was a free agent after 2021, but we were going into that sort of lockout situation with the PA and MLB. So that was kind of a weird offseason for me. I didn't get to do the whole free agency thing. It was I signed the qualifying offer, but this is a little bit different than last year, obviously, and having a good year. I mean, I think I'm gonna have a few more options next year, but I am getting on up there in age, so it might turn a lot of people off, but I'm still trying to figure out kind of what I want to do. I'm 35 this year. I got two boys that are getting older, and it's getting tougher on all of us. For me, when I'm gone all the time, so this is something that I got to take into consideration and figure out whether I want to keep going or go home and be with my family.
That's the important thing is how much is left in the tank of Brandon Belt. I went to Japan. I knew that was my tank is emptied after that. But how much is left in your tank? You said you got young kids. There's nothing better than being able to spend time with your kids. Again, you may have a very good financial career also to be able to just spend time with your kids and do whatever you feel like doing. So how much is left in the tank and how much desire really, because it's not just the season. Once November hits, you got to get back in the gym. You got to get back in the cage. You got to that stuff that hurts just thinking about.
Yeah, I think physically, mentally, as far as baseball goes, I got a lot left in the tank. I feel like I can go a few more years and play good, productive baseball. I feel like I can be competitive, and I think that's the tough part that every ball player has to come to at some point is maybe you have a choice of whether you want to keep playing or retire, but we're all competitors when it comes down to it, and it's hard to stop competing when you can compete at the highest level. But I think when you think about your family and how tough it's been on them and how tough it's been on me over the past couple of years to be away from them, that definitely takes a toll. So as far as baseball goes, I love the game of baseball. I love playing baseball. I love being on the field. It's a lot of the other stuff that I get tired of, the traveling and, the being at the field for hours and hours and hours at a time, being away from the family. So it's a lot of stuff I got to consider this offseason. I'm just not sure where I'm headed yet.
Yeah, you'll make the right decision. It's not as easy. People are like, oh, just play another year. And you're like, well, I got kids and I got this and I got to go here. And then they're like, oh, well, you're from Texas. Sign with the Rangers. And you're like, well, that's not exactly how it works. So you'll make the right decision. You'll eventually figure it out. And if you want to play, great. You can go find a place. And if you don't, right. But one thing I want to know, are the Blue Jays making the playoffs?
Yes, the Blue Jays will make the playoffs.
Boom.
I believe we're going to step up and we're going to do what needs to be done to make the playoffs.
Okay. That's all I needed to hear. I just put it down in my notebook. The Blue Jays playoffs. Check.
He said it with his chest.
He did. He stuck his chest out and was like, hell yeah, we're making the playoffs. I like it.
All right, wait, I got one more, and then we'll let you jump. A fan question. Are you related to Cole?
Who's Cole?
Garrett?
Cole Bell? No.
Garrett Cole?
Oh.
Someone's asking. I think the fan might have the wrong person.
They're thinking of Brandon Crawford.
Brandon Crawford.
You're thinking of Crawford. Come on, Charlie. You're
Wrong Brandon.
Wrong freaking Brandon. Get out of here. We just made fun of Crawford.
He's
Get out of
Brandon.
here.
Yeah, Brandon Crawford's Brandon number 2. Brandon number 2 has better hair, though. Brandon number 1 has better beard.
That
Brandon
much better
beard.
Hair. Yes, exactly. Well, Brandon, hope you had fun, man. This was great catching up with you, dude. Appreciate it. Keep crushing it out there, and we'll talk to you in the offseason, all right?
All right, sounds good, guys. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for actually making it this time. Not
oh,
staying
shit.
In the
oh, you're going to let him jump on that?
You got
You're going to let him jump on that?
Yeah, because we can bring him back. I didn't hang up that quick, did he?
You can't say that at the end.
Well, I was trying to get it in.
You did. You did. Incredible.
That was great, by the way.
That was very good.
Kratz, he did not disappoint.
He is, I'm telling you,
He's
he
a gem.
is tremendous. And I feel like we only just hit the tip of the iceberg. He comes to the field like that every day. And Posey and Crawford would just rile him up. And it would just, it was amazing to watch.
There we go. It's sunny out there, folks, and you need to protect your eyes with premium polarized shades that will not break the bank. Shady Raids coming at you, okay? Oh, shit.
Oh, Jonesy got his too.
Oh,
we got
now I got to take
crew.
See, now this is why I'm not even going to be here anymore. Jonesy puts them on. Now I got to take mine off. It's like,
hey, brother, we can share.
It's like hitting in the same group as Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, man. I can't keep up with that. Jonesy looks so good in them glasses.
But here's the good news, right? Kratzy, if you got your pair and you're like, man, I look good, but then Jones gets the same pair and you're like, damn, I don't look as good as Jones. I can't have the same pair. You can exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days.
I'll put them on.
That's Shady Rays for you.
I don't know if Kratz is going to get sent back, though.
Why?
Because if you got that big old head, Nick, you might be stretched.
Well, there's also the broken or replacement situation. Lost and broken replacements is there for you as well. Okay, it's the most ridiculous protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. So they'll send you a brand new pair, no questions asked, if you lose or break your pair. Okay, and if you're trying to get involved for the first time with a pair of Shady Rays. Someone asked me about it yesterday. I said, it's very simple. Hit the website, shadyrays.com. Use the code FOUL, FOUL, for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself. The sunglasses rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. That was good. That was great with Brandon Belt, and we still have another one to go. Lane Thomas will join us. Also, if you're just joining us on FT Live,
I kind of feel sorry for Lane.
What?
He's got to follow that.
Yeah. Don't doubt Lane. A lot
I'm
of
not,
people
but
have.
I'm just saying it's
a
tough.
lot of people did.
True.
Cardinals did. Look at him now.
Yeah,
So,
he's having a great year.
He's having a sick year. We'll get to Lane Thomas and the Nationals, who have been good in the second half of the season. Just flat out good. They're playing good ball. And also, if you missed anything on the waiver claims, because we just had the second trade deadline, then make sure you just backtrack. But do it after the show, because we like to talk with you live. Let's go in the weeds right now and focus on the heavyweights in the National League. They are not hard to find. The Braves are loud. They are loud in the beginning of games. Acuna often gets them off to a fast start. 1 through 9 in that order. There's no team better right now. And it's like, oh, well, they probably have weak pitching. Did you see Vine's debut in Colorado for the Braves?
Dude, he threw like 100 changeups.
So?
I know. I'm just saying.
That's
He
a
threw a
perfect-
lot.
That's the
Perfect
pitch. That is the damn pitch, especially there.
Did you see the interview with his family?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Oh,
That was
man.
awesome.
That was
I'm going to
incredible.
read what David O'Brien said, who covers them for The Athletic. He said, suddenly the Braves have more depth and fifth starter options than would have seemed possible not long ago. Winans, Schuster, Kyle Wright after a few more rehab starts, Mike Soroka, and if needed, Chirinos or possibly Smith Shorver, depending on his shoulder situation. And then you saw what Vines just did for the Bravos. And out of all of those names, none of those dudes are starting playoff games either. So you can take from that group, maybe Wright at some point, but you can take from that group and have them involved in a bullpen as well. It is an embarrassment of pitching depth for the Atlanta Braves. Also, for example, have you seen what Pierce Johnson is doing with the Braves?
Dude,
Holy shit.
is there a better we hit on Chris Getz earlier about him being GM. Is there a better development organization right now than the Braves? No.
Dodgers are going to
Dodgers
argue
maybe,
you.
but
That's why we're talking about these two teams.
But look at them. I mean, a lot of these dudes for the Braves are homegrown guys. Albies, right? I mean, Riley, Acuna, Harris. I mean, that's 4 studs.
Strider.
Fried was traded, so he doesn't count. But the whole list of pitchers you just showed almost is all homegrown.
I want to take it one step further because
And their bullpen Minter, there's another homegrown. I mean, it's crazy.
And their bullpen's really good. Here's my question with these two teams, because they do this better than most. We can talk about drafting, developing, keeping the right guys, all that, cool. Here's what blows my mind. Teams like the Braves and the Dodgers can make a trade and instantly the player is better. You can't tell me it's just like, oh, he's happy now. It's winning baseball. I want to know, and we'll ask Lance Lynn this next time we have him on with the Dodgers. Like, what is the phone call? Is it Friedman saying, hey, dude, welcome to the squad on Wednesday. Why don't you come in a little early? Let's sit down and chat about how things are going for you and what we're seeing and whether there's a tip or a pitch mix change or anything like that. There's got to be something, because all of a sudden a player goes over to that team. We've seen it with a ton of dudes on the Dodgers, and I'm bringing up Pierce Johnson as an example. He was not good earlier this year with the Rockies, and don't just blame Colorado. First of all, he was from Denver, and his numbers were better in Denver than on the road. He was worse on the road. So I'm like, and I get it, it's the Rockies. I'm like, how does a guy like that go over to Atlanta and become one of the most dominant relievers in the game right off the jump? And he's always had the stuff, and he's had success with the Padres in the past. But that's the shit I want to know the player perspective on. How do you that quickly go from or super underperformer to one of the top dudes in the league? Anyone have an answer?
I tell you how Lance Lynn did it.
What?
Mookie Betts was the guy banging for him to get over there. So
Yeah, but I get that. He
so
goes
you get a phone
there.
call from the Dodgers like, "Hey, we traded for you. Oh, by the way, Mookie Betts in your corner." He's like, "Superman, ba-bam, here we go."
But what happens?
They changed his pitch selection. They have better. Okay, people have talked about it. Kratz, we've heard it. Keenan Middleton went away, and they're like, he said about the White Sox, whether the culture or not, but there's an analytical thing too. Lance Lynn says it on the show. I changed my pitch. I changed pitch direction. I changed pitch location. I changed pitch sequencing. I changed every pitch, right? So there's something they know. And this is why, again, I hate to keep going back to the White Sox GM. This is why you interview people from other organizations. Because you can find things that you're not doing in your organization. You can get little tidbits.
I'll give you another example. Justin Verlander
he blew
called
up
out the Mets when he was there. When he was there, internally, someone brought it external, and he helped to clarify, and it was totally on his side, that this is a dude that was part of a winning organization, comes over there and says, hey, I don't feel like your pitching program is up to speed. The dudes behind the scenes are not giving me what I need to succeed at the highest level, like, say, Houston is. And guess what? The Mets didn't dispute it. They listened. And also, they're making changes right now, too. So today we get the news. They fired their director of player development, Kevin Howard, and also Jeff Liebau was director of pro player evaluation. And they're finally like very, very heavily investing into a different pitching program. So we'll get into more of that, but it's
I have
wild.
a question for Kratz before we get to Lane Thomas. Are the Braves and the Dodgers the clear favorites in the National League?
Yeah. The clear favorites.
Okay. Because they're better at this stuff.
Yeah. Well, let's bring someone on who can first off tell us about these teams and then also about how his team has really developed and succeeded at a high level now in the second half of the season, especially. Lane Thomas from the Washington Nationals joining us right now. Lane, great to have you on FT for the first time, man. How you doing? How's the second half going, not just for you, but for the boys?
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me. It's cool to get to talk to you guys. Man, it's been good. I think, as everybody knows, we got a bunch of young guys in trades and, some guys that didn't have a ton of experience and just kind of got to get their feet wet in the big leagues. And, man, it's been fun to watch them kind of transition into the players they are now.
So before we get into what's gone really well and some of the other players, teammates of yours that have been improving, you've faced the Braves and the Dodgers this year. What do you think? Like, you heard a little bit about what we were just saying. What makes them special? What stands out? And also, do you know any guys that have gone on to other teams and kind of clicked instantly? I'm not saying necessarily coming from your team, but we're talking about like Lance Lynn, Pierce Johnson, some of these players that have moved teams and like next outing, it's like, holy shit, what is this?
Yeah, for sure. We played, I'm trying to think, I think we played the Braves and the Rays and the Dodgers the first half. And what seemed to stand out to me with those teams is you make a mistake or you give them a chance, in a certain inning with guys on base to bring up Mookie and Freddie. And there's a reason those guys are getting paid what they are, because they make you pay for, letting them have the chance to drive those runs in. So I think that's for me, the biggest thing that stands out between, those top tier teams and other teams is, when you give them a chance and you make a mistake to, let that inning continue, then they're going to make you pay for it.
All right. So we're talking about teams changing teams and like, boom, it just changes. You got traded to the Cardinals from the Blue Jays, your original team that was drafted you. Am I getting this right? You hit 27 home runs in your first year in the bushes with the Cardinals?
Yeah, first Double-A season. Yeah, it was a good place to hit, and I think I'd kind of been hurt leading up to that, so I hadn't really played a full season with the Blue Jays. I kind of broke a wrist a couple times and broke a foot, in high A. So I feel like it was just kind of, getting some of that man strength and just putting together some at-bats in a long period of time, and I went to the fall league after that. So I kind of just had played a lot of baseball that full season. So I think that was a big part of it. And just kind of, I was a high school pick and just kind of growing into your body and, getting some of that man strength.
Lane, what everyone talks about famously the Cardinals way. What is the Cardinals way? And can you explain it to us? Because I played for the Cardinals for a hot minute. And I mean,
you didn't get the drift?
I didn't get the memo.
No.
They didn't give it to you.
It's funny you say that. I remember I got traded from the Blue Jays. I drove across the state, in high A and just picked up with their high A team. And like the first meeting I had was with the farm director and the manager, he happened to be in town. for that team, and they literally handed me a book that was like the Cardinal Way. That's literally, they have a book that, and you meet with a guy. I remember my guy was Loop and who else? They have ex-players come around and you meet, like their core prospect guys. Like Bernard Gilkey was one of the guys, Aaron Looper, Ryan Ludwig. They just come around and just kind of give you experiences and kind of talk you through situations, which I think was cool. It kind of gave you a little taste of what was to come and, bounce questions off them. So I think it just kind of skews from the development side of things, not necessarily what the big league team does, because I feel like it's hard to tell, guys that haven't come through the organization kind of what to do because they traded for you or you signed them because you thought they already had that stuff. So I think it was more coming from like the minor league side of things.
Is it like a playbook? Do you have the playbook
How
still?
come you didn't get it? You were
I
on
still
the
got
Cardinals.
all of them.
I was in the big leagues, dude. They didn't need the Cardinals way. Is it like a playbook? Like they give you like first and third defenses, and they're like, if they're in cover 2, then we run the post corner. Like.
No, it was more like life skills, man. It was like, you would go over like financial stuff or, it could be baseball stuff about like, how to handle yourself in times when you're struggling and just kind of life lessons like that. It wasn't always baseball or it wasn't always off the field stuff.
All right, because AJ was talking about cover 2. I know you're a big University of Tennessee fan. What is going to happen on September 16th when they play Florida? Is it going to be a rout?
I know that's a tough place to go in and win. So, I'm hoping they pull it out.
No.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed sitting here waiting was like the Gators jersey. I'm like, come on now.
Look at this meathead.
Meathead. You're right on Meathead. Awesome. Lane, he can't even fit the damn helmet on.
Dude, this helmet is like so small.
AJ's working out
but
too
it's
hard.
autographed by Urban Meyer. Thanks for being a friend.
There you go. That's cool.
Lane, first of all, I want to say this, that I did sign with the University of Tennessee. But I did not go there, so I mean there was a little bit of love for Tennessee.
Too good for
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Who was the head coach when you signed there?
Delmonico.
But I originally signed there too, but it was Serrano. I think he kind of took the reins, and then Todd Raleigh was actually. Cal Raleigh's dad was the head coach there when I was like coming through there too.
Really? So this is how old I am.
The guy was Seattle. Yeah.
Yeah. This is how old I am, Lane. Delmonico was the coach. Yeah. Like Todd Helton was there when I went on my official visit with Peyton Manning. Okay, so we were there at the same time, right? And then Todd Helton, R.A. Dickey, these guys. Brian Roberts' dad recruited me at North Carolina. I mean, Rod Delmonico's son, Nicky Delmonico, played for the White Sox.
Yeah.
Nicky comes up to me and goes, "You broke my dad's heart when you didn't sign. You didn't come there and you signed." I'm like, "Dude, that was 35 years ago. Like, let's get over it."
That's wild. Yeah, he was. I think Nicky was he was a senior when I was a freshman in high school, and that guy was unbelievable out of high school. I was like, I got no shot looking at that guy.
And then look at you now.
I know.
Yep.
Things change,
baby.
He's coaching in the minor leagues, and Lane Thomas is going deep.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Lane, something that stood out to me, I know your name came up around the trade deadline. I've known Mike Rizzo for years. Super, stand-up dude, great communicator, right? He'll come right downstairs. He's a scouting guy. He'll talk to the players. So one thing I loved was, it was like about a week before the trade deadline, he was doing some interviews, and he basically said, Lane Thomas is a big part of this team for years to come. Sure, we're going to listen to players just like any team would. Any team's going to, quote, listen to any players. If someone calls and says, I'll give you half my damn team. But he basically said, we are keeping him. We value him much more than, say, just someone you can plug in and destroy left-handed pitching. He's like, this is an everyday player. So did you hear comments like that from him? And how does that make you feel as a ball player?
Yeah, I think, my full time here, I got traded in 2021. I think him and Davey and this whole coaching staff has just really kind of instilled that confidence in you that, they think they see what you can do and, go do it. And he's never really talked to me about that kind of specific of stuff, right to me. But I just remember something he said in 2021. I had a good couple months to end the season. He was like, you're doing good, but don't get comfortable. And it wasn't like a friendly don't get comfortable. It was just like, we believe in you, but don't get comfortable. And I think that's kind of stuck with me. Is like, it can change quick. So, your time's limited no matter how good you are. So I think that's something that, kind of stuck with me from that year. So yeah. And the comments were cool to hear. I think it's always nice to hear how valued you are.
Congrats on the baby on the way.
Yeah. November. Yes. It's especially, through the season it sneaks up on you. You know, it's gone by quick, even to her. So yeah, we're excited.
You feel like with the baby coming, do you feel like it's something that you have 2 good years under your belt in the big leagues, and you could approach the Nats and be like, look, I want to be part of this when some of these guys fully understand how to play in the big leagues, because we're building something awesome here. So give me an extension.
You know, I don't think I would ever personally ask that. You know, I definitely love being around these guys, and I think I would love to be a part of, you know, what's going on right now, and seeing CJ and Mackenzie Gore and all these guys that we have that, you know, don't really have a ceiling. I think they could be whatever they want to be. It's pretty cool to see. I mean, CJ transitioned from the first half to the second half and just kind of come to himself, and, you know, watch him play shortstop. He's just, I mean, I saw a stat on the board. I was like, he stole like 37 of 40 bags. And I'm like, I hit right behind him. I didn't realize how many bags he had stolen. I'm just like, oh, there he goes again, you know. So it's just cool to see that kind of stuff and see the potential. And, you know, hopefully we can add some pieces and actually compete here.
Is it cool for the Nationals to look at the standings knowing that this team is building back up? That's no secret, and same thing. Like Rizzo has been straightforward about that. You know, you dealt Soto last year, and there's other guys, vets, that have been dealt. But you look right now, this team is above the Mets in the standings, better record than the Cardinals, same record as the Padres, teams that really pushed all their chips in. You guys are just starting to hit your stride, building for seasons ahead. Is it cool to be able to kind of upset a lot of ball clubs given what they were expected to do and be like, we're just as good as you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, it's cool competing with those teams, but I think that's the biggest thing is, you know, even when we have lost a series, or, you know, say we get swept by someone, or, you know, we lose 2 or 3, I just feel like we're in every game, you know, and if we're down 2 or 3 runs, it's like, you know, it doesn't feel like we're out of it. I feel like, you know, we have the potential to come back every night, and, you know, we have guys in the bullpen who we bring in and we can shut the door. So I think we have a lot of good things going. You know, I don't know what else we need, but, you know, hopefully they can figure that out and give us a chance to really go compete and you know, keep having fun with these guys.
So Ken Rosenthal's our insider, and he wrote the other day about how in the second half of the season, in addition to the record being very strong for the Nationals, the base running has improved, the defense has improved, if we're looking at metrics, right? Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that? Is it visible to you on the field? And there's the reasoning for that. Like Dave Martinez just got his extension done. You know, can you describe what's being done in the Nats organization that leads to some of those improvements that some people might call small, but they're actually obviously playing out in a big way for you guys?
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of our coaching staff and how they approach, you know, the game plan for stuff. I know that, you know, I remember coming up with, when I first got up, and you know, you're nervous to even steal, because it's like, if I get thrown out in this situation, it's like, you know, they might not play me the next day, or whatever goes through a young guy's head. And I feel like when I got here, it's kind of like they instilled a confidence of like, you know what, you have to learn how to do this. We have young guys who can go out and do these things, and if you get thrown out, it doesn't matter, you know. So I feel like that's been a big part of it. And then just understanding when and when not to run, and when to be aggressive and when not to be aggressive. And, you know, it sounds like such small things, but when you have a whole staff committed to that and explaining to you and teaching you things about, you know, what I do good and what I need to improve on, and just understanding all that stuff, I think is what instills the confidence and the preparation to just go out and do it on your own. So I think that's been a big part.
Somebody from your team told me to ask you about the interaction between you and Jeremy Rehack and what his response was. The umpire the other night?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I thought the first pitch was kind of out of the zone. I was like, man, that's not a strike. And he was like, all right, well, you know, we can look at it. So as I did, I kind of went and looked at it. I was like, man, that's, you know, it wasn't, he asked me, he's like, you know, did you look? I was like, yeah, man, it wasn't even really touching the box. And I probably shouldn't have continued, but I added a little more to the question. I was like, and there was about 6 other ones that weren't touching the box, including, you know, Jansen. I played with Danny Jansen with the Blue Jays. I was like, and he had the worst one, you know, your guy here. And he was kind of like, all right, that's too much information. I didn't need to know all that kind of thing. So it wasn't, I mean, I didn't get too upset, but I kind of was a little fired up, especially. And then he kind of got me again later on, so it didn't help. But, you know, it's just how it goes sometimes.
That was it? I feel like there's more to that story, but he's still playing. I get it. There's definitely more to that story than what we just got.
I may have thrown a few more words in there, but that was the summed up version.
Okay.
What about the Dave Martinez? What was the rant that he did earlier this year?
Oh yeah.
Oh, he went down into the
When he
Yes.
laid down.
I don't remember exactly what happened, but I don't know. The picture is posted somewhere in our locker room. It's funny.
Didn't he take out or he printed the photo of
The next,
Yeah.
that night.
what was it?
Oh, that was in
inside
Houston.
the line.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
the line.
it was
yeah.
that. I guess there had been some base, or I guess that call what happened to them maybe in the World Series with Trey Turner. It
Yes.
happened a couple times, and then
Yes,
it happened
yes.
in Houston, and we lost the game because of it. So he like printed out the rule and was like, "Here, this is why the rule should be changed, or you have the option to review it, or something like that." I couldn't remember exactly, but yeah, he had it printed off.
That's cool to me. I know obviously there's theatrics involved there, but to me, like, and I've known Davey for years too. I've been, the office has the candles, I'm sure still. It's like chill vibes. He played though. I like the passion. I also think like Davey as a manager has like kind of come out of his shell to be able to at times say, no, fuck that. Like you're wrong on that one. Do you respect that? Do you have conversations with him about that? I know you're not like a grizzled vet, but you're in your upper 20s and on your team, like you're older than some of the dudes. So do you get to kind of spend some time with Davey and be like, yo, we respect that, man. That's cool. You're with us.
Yeah, 100%. I think, he does that a lot. I mean, he doesn't obviously get thrown out all the time for it, but I think, having a guy that trusts, I don't know, I guess your kind of emotion in the game and when to say something and when not to, and kind of take, have your back in those situations is always good. So he's definitely been good about that. And yeah, it's been really good.
Hey, Lane, have you met Steven Strasburg?
Have I met him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was, I've been around him quite a bit.
Is he at the field?
Well, he's
not today,
he wasn't.
but I mean, he has been, for the last couple of years, obviously. I think he made, what did he make? I think he made one start for us last year. So, I mean, he's been with us the last 2 years full time trying to, recover.
Well, he doesn't talk to the media much.
No,
so
that's why I was
what's
wondering.
what's like, how has he been? Like, knowing that, dude was oozing with talent for a long time and he accomplished a lot, but he's not able to, get back on the field. And we saw the news he's going to officially announce his retirement soon. Being around him, like, do you feel bad? Do you sense that when you have a conversation with him, knowing, what he's got when he has been able to pitch?
Yeah. I mean, we see it as, I got to watch him try and come back from this for 2 years, and all the effort he put, and he was here every day rehabbing and he was in our fantasy football. So I think a lot of that stuff and being around the team helps, but I think it just comes down to like, quality of life stuff too. It's like he wants to be able to hang out with his kids and pick them up and be comfortable with that. So, I don't know the details of it. They don't, the training staff and stuff doesn't really let us in on all that. I know that he was here, recovering and trying to come back. And I know that, I know it's hard to do that, is to basically come out and say that you're not playing anymore, with whatever's left. But yeah, it's a lot of that stuff I don't know, but I know that he was here doing what he could to come back. And, it obviously had to be pretty serious for him and to come out and say it.
No, that's awesome. That's what I wanted to know. Like,
Yeah.
was he around? Was he there? Because there's all these stories that he's never around the team. He's in San Diego and the team's in Washington.
It's more of a mystery because what
he
happens
doesn't
is,
talk,
and
too.
I same
But
thing.
that's
Like
awesome
I've
to hear
covered the
that.
Nats. He doesn't, he doesn't like to speak publicly that much. He's shy and, but then teammates are like, oh, I hung out with him, so that's
great.
why.
That's what I wanted to know.
It's cool
He
to get
was
some
around.
insight. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And listen, I guarantee I know Steven a little bit. I've done some stuff with him before. He's a really quiet, good dude. It's great to hear that he was around and trying, because I think there's this narrative out there that he was just like, oh, I'm shutting it down. Screw it. I'm getting my money. So to hear Lane say he was there, he was busting his ass to get back.
Yep.
Listen, sometimes you just can't come back from stuff. And as human beings, you want to hear that they tried, and he tried, and good for you, Steven Strasburg. You won the Nats a World Series. You set your family up for life, and go enjoy it.
Yep. Exactly.
100%.
I'm with you.
He's
Well, Lane,
definitely
dude,
on the quieter side, but once you're around him, he kind of opens up, and he's a good teammate.
dude's got some stories no matter what.
Lane,
He was like Mr. Prospect, like in that next era, and then he comes up and lives up to it when he's been on the field.
Absolutely. Lane, before you go, say it with me. Go Gators.
Can't do it. That guy
Hell no.
can't come on.
Tell him, be like, shut up, AJ. He won't. He's too nice.
He is too nice.
Lane, dude,
That's not the Cardinals' way.
Well, it doesn't matter anymore.
Actually, it was when I played
Chapter
there.
1.
Nationals,
Actually, it was when I played there.
What? Well, Nationals
Shut up,
way is
AJ.
like we were just saying with Davey, like be yourself.
I love
Have a
Davey.
good
He's
time.
great. He's a
I do
great
too.
interview.
I did tell him we said hey, and Lane, it was awesome to talk to you on here for the first time, man. Keep crushing it.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Appreciate it. See you, man.
See you, bro.
Lane Thomas of the Washington Nationals. Good stuff. That was fun.
I'm glad we got the Strasburg thing in there because
That's important for people.
It's important
to know
for people outside of the
he's
game.
around.
When that he tried, because I think, most Jonesy knows Strasburg. He went on the Nike trip with us a few times. I mean, he was great to talk to. And the thing is like you don't want to ever just say, oh man, this guy's giving up. Like, dude, to hear Lane Thomas say he was trying to come back for 2 years. Good. It's good to hear.
Well, because the problem is, Adam, if you don't speak ever, just about, then people will say things. You can't defend yourself, right? And also, people just want to make a connection. Like AJ's bit always with the writers for a while is he'll be like, oh, you root for this team or this or that. I genuinely can tell you many of them don't give a shit how the team they cover does. But wait, I will give you one bit of credit here. They're still humans. So if they never speak to someone, they're not going to be able to cover them the same way or give them benefit of the doubt. Like, how are they supposed to say anything about his character or be like, oh, that's not really what it is. I'm going to write how this is done. They don't know the dude. So that's why sometimes it's like, if you're completely shutting yourself down, people are going to start saying shit. Oh, he doesn't care. He's just cashing in. I mean, Rendon gets this bit quite a bit also because he doesn't like to talk to the media. And I've spoken to him, but he's just like, fuck it. I don't care what they say. Like, I don't want to talk to the media. I don't feel like it. I don't like it.
I worked out with Strasburg and San Diego State he graduated. It's been about 8 or 9 years or something like that when Tony was still alive also. And I never actually worked out with the man. Okay. Like he just does what he does his own work, but he gets it done. He's a very quiet to himself guy. And like I said, for Lane to say that he's been there every single day trying to get himself right. And he's got a nerve issue. For anybody that knows, nerves, they don't just heal on their own. It's a very tough process if they ever heal. So, for him to have the quality of life that he can't pick up his kids, there comes a point where we can't pick up our kids because they're too heavy. It shouldn't be a point where you can't pick up your kids because you physically can't do it. And that, like I said, the quality of life made more than enough money. So, man, go enjoy your life and don't look back because you gave your body to this game. And, that's what we do as athletes. We give our bodies to this game and we don't look back.
It's not made up like he's got nerve damage. We can say like there's also just to separate if fans like especially are listening to the pod afterward.
There's a difference between the contract and the person.
This is my point is, yes, we can say that contract was a massive bust because when you are evaluating players, injuries are factored in there. We're allowed to say that and yet still say accomplished a lot, super talented, and you're a human, go live your life. There's a difference there.
100%.
Yeah.
There's a difference between the human and the contract.
Yes.
And we want everyone to be able to live a productive life.
And pick up their kids, not like pick up their kids in a car, like literally be able to like pick up their 3-year-old.
My kids are too big to pick up at this point.
That's what we're saying. Yeah.
It's the same with Chris Davis too. It's like, when you physically can't do it anymore, he was trying to keep playing, battling injuries, his back, his hips. He physically couldn't do it. We wanted to rag about how his numbers weren't what they were when they were calling him crush and like he couldn't hit this and didn't look this way. He was physically going through and there came a point where it's like, I just can't get up every day and do this. It takes a toll on me mentally. I'm not even there with my family anymore because I'm trying to do so much to stay on the lines. And they said quality of life is way more important than playing sports.
Mm-hmm. Well said. All right. Well, let's slap. We got something to hit. So just a little quote from some of the Yanks, like Oswaldo Cabrera, because the Yanks have a few players that are from Venezuela. And if you're watching the YouTube version right now, you can see he kind of held court with some of the young Yankee players, especially the ones that are from his native country. And they're just saying like he's their hero and he's the talk of the town back at home. And he spent a lot of time with them just going over how he's thrived and succeeded. And Oswaldo Cabrera of the Yanks, said, he grew up in Guaranas, town about 2 hours northeast of Miggy's hometown of Maracay. Whatever.
Maracay.
You can make fun of
Maracay.
Maracay. Yeah,
Maracay.
Make fun of me. I'm super America. In Venezuela, everybody talks about him, he said. So he was just it's like his idol. He was just talking about how it's a huge deal, and Miggy's got a month left, and then he's done. So, I mean, commissioner's office will probably try and bring him in with Adam and Pujols.
One of the best of all time. One of the best.
He said no.
Hey, Jonesy.
Miggy probably would say no, honestly.
Miggy would say no.
Miggy's like, dude, I made a ton of money. Like, he'll help dudes and all that, but I do feel like Miggy wants to be on more of like an informal, casual, like, I'll be around the game basis.
Yeah, they'll have him in Detroit doing stuff.
Right, but like, I'll be on my own schedule.
He doesn't want to massage Manfred's feet like Jonesy does.
I bought him that that thing you get at Brookstone. Stick your feet in there, push the button, you massage your own feet.
He needs it. He's stressed out. He's way too stressed out.
Hold on, Jonesy. I don't know if we're going to have you on before your big day. Are you throwing out the first pitch?
I don't know. I would assume so, but I can't say for sure. But I was just thinking if I did, just throw a knuckleball.
Okay, but
Nice.
my point to this is,
I know.
Frazier and I did it. We did it from the mound. Kratz did it the other day. Didn't get up on the rubber. So make sure your ass walks up on the rubber.
Oh, I'm getting on the rubber.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm getting on the rubber.
Hey,
I might do
did they give
the
you guys a real?
Gosman and get behind the rubber at Crow Hop.
Oh, yeah.
The real thing. Dexter
That's
Fowler
cool.
threw it from center field. You got to show me up. Come on.
Did they give you a real baseball too? Because I threw a plastic giveaway ball as the first pitch.
Did it have a Somerset Patriot on it?
It did, and they authenticated it too.
No way. They authenticated that? Wow. Kratz, we got to do a redo. You got to get a big league toss. Like, where would it be? Philly?
I got 13 years in the bushes. It's very, very apropos that I had a first pitch in the bushes, not even in a stadium that I played in. Ever. with a giveaway plastic ball too.
That's going to be in the second book.
Yeah, exactly.
Life after backup catcher. On that note, Ken Rosenthal back with us tomorrow to recap the second version of the trade deadline. And Brent Suter is back with us from the Colorado Rockies, if he's still there. He didn't get claimed. He didn't get put on waivers. Rockies didn't waive anyone, which is kind of weird.
With good internet this time.
Yeah, good
Hopefully,
plan, please, Brent. We got a lot to get to with him. Jonesy, if we don't see you, have a great first pitch and a great re-retirement.
I appreciate it.
Hey.
You should.
Kratz hats?
Go Rays. Doing it the Ray way.
He's not going to say anything. But there'll be a picture, and it'll be called Kratz hats on Twitter. Always gets a lot of likes. Check it out. We'll see you on Friday. Not AJ. Or that AJ. But Kratz and me. And Todd Father.
Look for me on Big Noon on Saturday. Ooh.
Are you going on the show?
Yeah, hell yeah.